February 27th Planning Board meeting of the town of Sebago. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The time is 5:03. Tonight's agenda is available by the sign-in sheet. If you do not signed in, please do so. Let's take a roll call first. Paul White.
Present.
Tina Vanessa.
Here.
David McCarthy.
Here.
David Welch. Here. And myself, Bob the Liberty. Also, we'll acknowledge the town staff, including Christina Robinson. She's here. And Brett Wimpkin. Brett. And town planner Garrett Jones, and Garrett Jones, the executive secretary. All right, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So this is a public proceeding, not a public hearing, and unless the planning board specifically votes to go into executive session, anyone here has the right to hear everything that's being said and to look at all the exhibits and materials that are presented. Please notify the chairperson if you are unable to see or hear. The board works from a published agenda, which is available again tonight by the sign-up sheet. Any additional correspondence?
Just that the 61 Shore Road applicant is not going to be here today, just because
Okay.
he's focusing on
Okay, all right.
surgery.
All right. Is there, let's see, let's take a look at the minutes. Could I have a motion on the minutes from last meeting?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Seconded.
Seconded? Okay. All in favor? Okay, very good. Motion passes. Any questions from the audience related to an application, not related to an application? Okay, very good. Okay. So let's see, I guess we are all the way down.
So Mr. Schmidt is not here this evening. So do we want to postpone?
I believe the tentative plan is to postpone his until, I think he said until the March meeting.
To the March meeting?
Yeah, our first March meeting, which I believe is on the 10th.
Okay.
I don't think we have to make any kind of motion or anything.
Okay.
I think it's just, whenever he next comes up, we put him on the agenda.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, great. All right. I think we have much else to do other than that. Is there any?
Not tonight. I think that we wanted the attorney to be here, or we wanted the applicant to be here because the attorney was talking about him, so.
Okay,
And I think the attorney said that he would appreciate a bit more time just to look at it a bit deeper, so.
Okay.
Maybe we'll have that way, I guess.
okay,
I think this is a lot more complicated than we think it is.
yeah,
The number of easements,
yeah, yeah,
I was going over that, I'm going,
yeah, it's tough. It really is. Okay, let's see, other business. I think last time I passed out a new form that you created, David, I think, for anybody who applies for an ordinance.
I don't, you created that, didn't you, Derek?
For
For an
That
application.
application, the application.
yeah.
I think I passed a copy out to everybody last time around. but-
did it? You could see how many pieces of paper, it's ridiculous.
I have it right here.
So, I don't know.
If not, I'll get some more made. but-
Yeah, I don't have that one because I was involved with the ordinance.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, and,
Yep, right, yeah.
good. So, Did you want to speak for a couple of minutes about that, or shall we?
I thought that was a pretty good draft. I don't know if anybody else has looked at it, but
Do we want to make note that we table old business?
You know, this is a piece of old business right here that I put out there last time around.
But you mean specifically the Shore Road?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay,
Well, I don't have that. I was
You don't have it, huh?
concentrating on the
Okay.
ordinances and the.
all right. Well, let's make some copies, I guess.
I'm sorry. Do you have that, Paul? What they're talking about?
Make a motion.
What are they talking?
you want to make a motion to table?
Passed out.
Template for board proposals.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we table the old business of map 21, lot 45, 61 Shore Road, application submitted by Kevin Schmid for a garage apartment with apartment on a non-conforming lot until our
March 10th,
March 10th meeting at
5.
5 PM.
Seconded.
Okay. All right, any discussion? No? Okay.
All in favor?
Yep, all in favor? The motion passes. And we're getting some copies of this other document. I think folks haven't looked at it, so I think we'll just hold that till next time as well for the application piece.
This, I didn't know if this went with it, so,
No, I don't think so.
no. No, that's that review process.
Yeah, whole different one.
Did you write out that you were gonna take that up tonight, Bob?
What's that?
Did you write that you were gonna take that up tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on, or put on the agenda for next time, because you haven't read it yet or anything, so.
Yeah, but had you put it on for tonight?
Yeah, I thought I had them. I passed it out last week, I thought, but maybe not.
This template is what you're talking about, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I know the word.
That's the application template. Great, thank you.
So, did everybody have this, or?
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't?
I didn't get
You haven't seen
copies.
it?
Yeah, I thought I had. I've got the copies, please, on it.
This is just
You've seen this
an
one?
application that Gary
How many copies did you make?
came up with, and it,
What is this?
you know, has all
This
the
is like the
information
site plan
on
review application.
on that back sheet, which I thought was good.
Yep.
I think I've seen this one before, Bob.
Okay.
What was this workshop?
Yeah, this was a while ago that we talked about this, right?
Pardon me?
This was a while ago we talked
Yes.
about
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't planning on dealing with it tonight.
It's like, I don't remember this from last meeting.
it. I don't think
No,
you-
no,
I thought I was
no,
going
no.
crazy.
Thank you.
No, this was.
I'm going crazy,
This was a while ago. When did you think about that, Christina? Did you
I
like
think
that?
it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we asked for all of the easements to be put on the map of Shore Road,
Right.
to show where the water lines were and the septic
Yeah.
and then it all came from this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is,
So, yeah, gives the applicant a good idea of what they need to come
It's-
before the
it
planning
clears it
board
up
for
for
site
'em, I
plan review. Yep,
really,
yep. Good.
So do we just want to utilize this, or shall we let folks look at it until next meeting?
Well, it's ready to be used, right?
It is, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want, we'll start using this one.
Yeah,
That's your,
I like it. Did you get a copy of it?
I mean,
Any more copies?
it looks like it's complicated, but it's not. I mean, it just
No, no,
comes
yeah,
right,
it's a nice,
it just
simple
comes right
process, yeah.
down.
Real easy to read.
Yep,
Good reference sheet for the applicant.
exactly.
Yeah.
Certainly is.
So if we ask them for something and they say, well,
I didn't know about that. Yeah, well, it's
we
on
can
your
say,
application,
Sir,
that's right.
madam, could you please?
Yeah, that's right.
Do we have to adopt this?
Do we have to?
Or can she just start using it?
I think she could just start using
I think it's a
it.
valuable
Do you remember
tool.
where we got the information? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I have a question on like some of the requirements, because I just want to shy away from requiring things on an application form that may not be in our ordinance, if you know what I mean. Like, I think there's an opportunity that, like, for submission requirements, to align those kind of things with like what's within our land use ordinance, if that makes sense.
So doesn't that
Or is
fall
there-
under other information that we could ask the applicant for?
Yeah.
It could, I mean, is that in our ordinance? I was just asking the question, I guess. Like, I don't,
Because
I
we
don't-
can
no.
ask for additional information.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want, applicants to have to go through, maybe something on here, again, without looking at this too deeply, I wouldn't want to have them pursue additional expense for something that maybe isn't required by the ordinance, if you know what I mean.
I look at this more like it's a reference sheet, that the applicant, if the applicant feels that this information would be required, or Christina feels that this information would be required to bring it before the planning board for planning board review, that it's right here on this sheet and they can read it and understand it, they can reference back to it if they forgot something. I don't know. You think it's too complicated or something? or-
No, again, like I said, I'm trying to read it now, I'm a slow reader.
Yeah.
My wife makes fun of me all the time for it.
But we can also give our code enforcement officer the authority to say that shouldn't pertain, or that's too much, it doesn't go with our ordinance.
Maybe, I mean, if it's a site plan application, if it didn't pertain or wasn't applicable, I guess that'd be the board's discretion though. Or
But she
they'd
could
have
bring
to-
it,
Oh, right, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
of
we
course.
can communicate that at a meeting,
Yeah,
but we could give her the authority to say that's too much of an expense for what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's in her purview to bring that to the board.
Sure. Yeah.
You okay with that, Christine?
Yeah, usually when someone comes to talk to me, I just create a list based off what I'm anticipating. And then when they get to for pre-app, that's when you really solidify what they need to bring.
Exactly.
I mean, if something happens and we feel like we have to amend this, we could just amend it anyway, right?
We can just amend it.
I don't,
Maybe if you want to take it home, and we can talk about it again at the next one, but we'll start to use it if you want.
I would think. Sure. It would be a good
I view
idea.
this as code enforcement's decision.
Yeah, yeah.
And whole purview.
Yeah.
But we have on there what we may require.
Yeah. Well, your department came up with this anyway. This is something that you guys generated, so, yeah.
Where did you make that from, did you take the information from somewhere?
I believe I took it from either our ordinance or just like a reference sheet that may have been provided by the board. I'm not, it's been a while since I drafted it up.
Why don't we relook at it,
Okay.
and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, decide, yeah, and it's just, I think the basic idea is a good idea. If you want to make some changes to it, I mean, feel free to,
Yeah,
I guess I also don't know what our application forms look like right
they're
now.
very basic.
If it's just
Yeah.
pretty slim information, then I think this is a good starting point
Yeah.
too. to
Well,
help
this
guide.
is just an attempt to eliminate, information coming in on the second or third meeting.
Sure.
That's-
right. This is,
Try to have it up front.
try to speed up the process a little bit so that everybody doesn't have like a pre-application meeting and just have no clue as to why they're here and, I think which is just a wasted meeting, really. Yep. Cool.
Very good.
And I-
In the last
That-
page. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then. I think all we have, is there any other business to consider? Nope, okay. Our next planning board meeting will be held, is it the
10th.
10th?
I'm
Yep.
sorry,
You can't do it the 10th, that's our birthday.
we have a couple of things lined up. We have a date being held for the 12th of February, and then also we do have a meeting scheduled for February 24th.
Really 12.
What's 12, Christina?
So, Mr. Schmid wanted to wait until March, right?
Yeah, he's having a
Okay.
pretty serious surgery. He wants to.
Yeah, great, right.
What are you holding the date up for the 12th for?
A possible public hearing for if you guys decide to move forward with the ordinance changes that were proposed at the last meeting.
Okay, we'll hopefully get there.
That's the
Yeah.
ones that are
Did you get the email from
in this, did you put
Yes,
it
I
in?
did.
All right.
She talked about the 24th. Is the 24th? Is that?
The 24th is a regular
That's
meeting.
what we have down here. We're talking about a public hearing on the 12th, though. So we have a planning board meeting scheduled for what, the 24th as well.
Yeah.
So the
Correct.
next meeting will be the 24th. There'll be one on the 12th,
So one on the 12th and then one on the
and
24th.
those will be at 6 o'clock.
And those will be at 5 or 6, we'll figure that out. I think
Figure that out.
for the 12th, let's
12th
see.
of the Thursday, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the 24th is what they have.
It's a Tuesday.
yeah. So we'll see how we do today, I guess, is what it boils down to, and go from there. It's the best we can do that. At the very latest, it'll be the 24th. So I think our next meeting then, of course, will be the 12th. Okay? Okay, and do we want to have a workshop ahead of that?
I would think.
I would think so. We're
5
still got
o'clock.
work to do, so.
5 o'clock again?
Yep,
All right, 5 o'clock.
February 12th?
that's February 12th.
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah. Tuesday is the 200th celebration.
Right.
Now, what,
5 PM.
And the 24th would be
The
a
next one
possible
after.
public hearing? Is that what that is?
We're even talking about possibly having a public hearing on the 12th,
Oh,
but it may be the 25th. We'll see how we do
yeah,
today.
okay.
what ordinances are we gonna look at?
Well, we're going to look at, we have a number of things to look at here actually this evening, but we want to try and move I'll call it the gravel road
Okay.
ordinance piece along, and we'll talk also about the marijuana ordinance. And then we also have some, what else we got here? Key points.
We got Phil's nuisance.
Yeah, I guess what's included in the packet that I prepared for last meeting, I think it can be summarized in 3 different ways. There's
Okay.
the roadway design standards, right, incorporating for the gravel roads. The asphalt, concrete paving plans, that was something that a lot of work had been done before, so I think that's pretty simple work.
I
That's
thought the selectmen said to throw that out.
No, they said to move forward with that one.
So we,
I think where it was, a majority of the work was already done, and it's a matter of just adding definitions and updating our land use table. That's a pretty small lift.
I know, but, okay.
So,
All right.
so that, and then I guess it could be classified as administrative with the implementation of the staff local review. Piece that's in here as well, so
Great. All right.
are we gonna talk about this?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yep.
That's what I'm here
Main
for.
topic. Okay. Okay. So,
Sorry.
let me adjourn. You got something still? Go ahead.
I don't know if we can adjourn if we need to make a motion for the public hearing. Can we reopen for that?
For the second?
For the motion for the public hearing? Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna be ready. Don't we have to discuss this and make changes to this?
Yep.
Are we gonna get that all done tonight?
Can we talk about
Thanks for
Do the
meeting.
best.
the fire chief's
Yes.
ordinances inside of the public, I'm sorry, inside of the meeting?
Okay. Yes, we will. Yep, we'll do all that then. I would, my suggestion, I guess, would be, let's make a motion on the public hearing, and if we aren't ready at the end of our workshop, then we'll postpone until the next. That makes sense?
Right.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we have a public hearing on what, February 24th, is it?
February 12th, we're talking.
Oh, February 12th we're talking?
If
For
we
the
can
for
do
a
it
public
February
hearing?
12th. Yeah.
Okay, February 12th at what, 6 o'clock?
At
5 o'clock.
6 o'clock, yes.
Okay,
Correct.
so I'll make a
Now, is
motion that
there
we
any-
have a public hearing February 12th at 6 o'clock.
How,
Second. To discuss.
how are we going to, okay, I second the motion,
Okay.
Question.
discussion. How are we going to make the changes and review them before the public
Yeah,
hearing?
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's too soon.
Think it's too soon?
Mike?
You think the 24th maybe?
Okay.
I think it depends on our discussion tonight. I mean, if the matter of the content is changing a and to an or dwelling units to a lots, or like those kind of things, I mean, those are really simple changes that can be made.
Yeah.
I've also seen it done before where, I guess it depends too. I don't know, Christina, is the town gonna send this off to legal counsel for review as well?
Yeah, they will be.
Okay.
So maybe the 12th is a little too ambitious then, if we also need to fit a legal review in before the public hearing. It may be a little bit more appropriate for the 24th to have this larger content-based discussion tonight. And then on the 12th, have it be more of a overview. Yep, this was addressed, not quite there, maybe modify this.
Okay.
And then send it off to legal after that, be ready for the 24th.
So I'll withdraw my motion
Make another.
and make another motion to have a public hearing on the 24th at 6 PM
There we go.
to address the ordinance changes.
Second it, David,
Now we're going to be on the 20th.
or Could I ask
Okay,
a question?
Go ahead. Is this still
Now
on
we
this
gotta vote
motion?
on
or-
it.
No.
No, okay.
Still gotta vote on it, right?
Any more conversation on that? We all set? All right, good. All in favor?
The motion is to have a public hearing at 6 o'clock on the 24th.
Yes.
Could I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn our planning board meeting.
All in favor?
And I'll
Good.
make a motion that we enter into workshop.
Very good.
Second.
All in favor? Off we go.
Now, as to what we're talking about, we got the pack from this, and there's one thing I got called ordinance proposal, correct? Is there any other documents you guys had last time that you should have a copy of?
should
So
be.
we're looking at these two documents, all right. I just
I
was
think
tired.
there's
There should
two
be
other
two.
documents there on that pile for the fire discussion. I think
Well, we're gonna look, all right, I'm just getting to what we're looking at.
I think it's what, the nuisance fire alarm and the fire hydrant?
All right.
Yep.
That's what those are.
Oh, just as to the gravel road, I got this document from these gentlemen. Were there any others that were shown to us last time? Because you wanted to discuss both your proposals and there were some notes, or some notes the other guys had on the agenda.
may I ask my question now?
You can
You may.
Correct.
shoot.
Okay.
You're very knowledgeable because you work in a gazillion towns.
Thanks.
Is it more confusing to us when you give us 5 different options as opposed to saying, pick a couple because you know pretty much what you're talking about, to lead us down a path, to give us some information? I know it confuses me because you're saying, well, this and what could be that. Well, that's a good idea, but
I mean, I think it all matters about the approach. I think it's important for the board to be informed with, different types of ordinances or standards, or just maybe different mechanisms that towns are using to enforce, right? If I think back to a few months ago, I think that's kind of what I had opened up with. I had shared some different definitions, for example, of roadway naming conventions, you know, private streets versus minor streets versus all those different definitions, right? And that was kind of way back. And then it kind of crosses a threshold, in my opinion, where the discussion needs to start changing from these higher level ideas to no, like the content should be this, right? Changing the exact verbiage. And I think that's what the intent of this packet was here, was based on my understanding and what we've talked about for months. You know, this is how I would put it into an ordinance as a planner, right?
Exactly.
And so for the purposes of discussion tonight, you know, hopefully that's what we can talk about, is maybe not things that aren't being changed, but maybe things that are in the blue or red, right? Because, you know, we're working through these changes and we have been for a little while. I also think it's important to be cognizant of our timeline we're working off of, right? I mean, we're trying to get these adopted by the town meeting.
Yes.
And I always like to work backwards from that a little bit, where we know that the select board has to vote to place it on the warrant. Before that, the select board has to have a public hearing. Before that, they need to kind of accept the word from the planning board, which means the planning board needs to send a vote with a recommendation or without a recommendation, which means they also need to have had their public hearing, which means that, you know, we're kind of in that crunch time mode now, I guess.
Well, it's time to stop philosophizing, and it's time to go to work.
Yeah.
That's what it amounts to. To me, I don't know how you guys feel, but if I have 6 choices and it really boils down to give me 3, I prefer the 3 to 6. There's no point in philosophizing. I mean, you can spend forever doing that, and then nothing gets done.
What?
Do you want to talk about?
Yeah, we do want to talk about Phil's
All
first.
right,
so
let's go with Phil.
Why don't we do that first?
Okay, sure. Which one do you want to do first?
No, how about the fire alarm?
The fire alarm? Sure.
Let's just do the, probably could do the template first.
Which one are you guys talking about first?
Fire alarm.
Fire alarm?
Yep.
Nuisance.
Have you seen the template, the ordinance proposal at all? You have
Yep.
any documents? You have?
Yep, I've already crossed a few things out on there.
Okay.
One being number 10, suspension of fire response. That has to go, because that puts the town in liability. Did you read it?
Yep, so scratch that right out.
Scratch it right out.
Scratch number 10? Okay.
I don't think we need to get involved with Joe Bornstein on that one. Under number 6, fire alarm allowance. Typically, towns around us, it's 3. After the 3rd one, you get a bill.
Okay.
The first 3 is called free.
So change 2 to 3.
Correct. In regards to the penalties, obviously, you know, 1 through 3 is a goose egg. The 4th one, $500, and then from there up to $1,000 per call.
$1,000 after the 4th one.
Correct. Yep.
What is 4, Phil?
Say it again.
Is 4th 1,000?
4th is 500.
Oh,
Anything after that would be 1,000. And it's, again, it's not to hurt the person, it's to basically force them to say, hey, you have an issue, you need to address it.
Put off your 1,000.
Just to give you guys a heads up, when an alarm comes in, there is 8 pieces of equipment that move. Everything out of this town, plus a ladder truck out of a surrounding town. So that's a lot of equipment that starts moving for an alarm. And that's standard. Naples starts at 500 and then it's 1,000 from there. Naples had an issue with one of their commercial residential dwellings, and after the first bill, it got fixed. Because they were like, wow, this is gonna be expensive. And again, it's not to hurt them, but it's to force them to be like, hey, you need to do some maintenance, you need to address the problem.
Okay.
You know. Yes, sir.
If Naples has this situation, and we keep rolling, or let's say they keep coming to us, can they beg out of that agreement?
It's part of our mutual aid agreement with all the surrounding towns.
Okay.
We have an automatic mutual aid agreement.
Well, I don't think $1,000 is too much when you're rolling $1 million piece of equipment back.
No, but again, we're not trying to hurt
I get that.
the person, but we're trying to express that it's time for you guys to have a company come in and do some maintenance or find out what the issue is that's causing the nuisance alarm and to remedy this situation.
Make it sting. Just make it sting a little
Yeah.
bit.
I mean, if on EMA, as far as what each truck cost, a pumper truck built out for any EMA, when I put in for resolution for any time that we're trying to go after money on, they're trying to be declared a disaster. A fire truck is $500 an hour, a lot of trucks are $1,000 an hour. So, you know, if we did it that way, we could be handing them a bill for almost $10,000. We're not here to do that. We're here to basically say, hey, let's come to an agreement that, hey, let's fix the system, let's get it right, let's keep your residents or your house safe, but, you know, this isn't cheap. You know, this is a public service, and the amount of equipment that rolls, you know, like you said, most towns it's 3 and free. After that, you're gonna see a bill.
So you're good with the rest of the ordinance?
Yeah, it seemed good. Like I said, just taking out the section 10, and then under number 9, after the third one, corrective action, and then under number 6, going from 2 to 3, and then changing the prices from the fourth one being 500, and then from there out being $1,000
Yep.
per line.
Okay. Sounds good, that was easy.
Like you said, it's not rocket science.
Yeah,
Just want something on the books so we have some teeth behind it.
right.
So, moving on to the hydrants. Oh, Merle, what's up, boss?
So on number 5, after the heading, parenthetically says optional. What does that mean, optional? Is having section 5 an option that we can consider here?
Well, registered with the town or as designee. Most of them are alarm companies. Like Simply Safe or Protection One. You know, if we go down, if, you know, it gives the town something down the road, if we start developing more and more, that we've got something to go back on to say, okay, we need to start having a registry of which ones are. But again, hence it's optional, so at this present time, it's, you know, it's up, it would be the board's decision to make that, you know, definition at the present time when they have a project go in front of them.
Well, and
I know-
you do have the ability to appeal it too.
Correct.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
But if it's not in there, you can't do anything about it, so that's why it's in there in parentheses being optional. So you could do one of those, it doesn't apply in this circumstance, you know, the board has that, you know, distinction, say it's not applicable in this, you know, purview.
And what are those criteria?
That would be up to you guys.
Yeah, so we don't have criteria for that. So my suggestion would be,
Remove it.
yeah, I mean, that leads us to say, make arbitrary decisions. You may need it, I may not like Merle today, so he may need to register. Yeah. So,
And we can always amend it later.
right, exactly.
Okay, scratch, call it.
And I would suspect that you have all the contact information for all the alarms in Sebago anyway.
Dispatch would when it comes in.
Yeah.
We don't in the department.
Right.
Dispatch would when it's called in by the company to the dispatch center.
It's available.
Yes.
That's my point.
So your suggestion is to scratch that one?
I would, because,
Number 5.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Merrill?
I
Can add
would
later.
that
Let's see how
suggestion,
the-
but I do have a follow-up question. Do any of the neighboring towns have a registration system at present?
Not that I'm aware of to that extent. Wyndham might, because they're a lot more of a commercially developed town.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, as the town grows, you might wanna add something back in, sure.
But they don't monitor it. Again, it's not monitored at the station. it's still sent into dispatch via the alarm company.
Okay.
So,
Yes, sir.
number 8, I would like to change that
Number 8. Yep.
to certified mail return receipt requested, unless anybody has a better way of assuring that this actually gets delivered. Much like our public easement road notices that nobody gets.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
Could you say that again, David? I didn't hear you.
so, right now, this
Notice
may
may be
be
provided.
sent via email, this
Oh, I
notification,
got you, okay.
or a letter, or,
It says reasonable means.
Reasonable means.
Yeah.
so I would like to change B to
US certified mail.
US certified mail return receipt requested.
Scratch the electronic mail or.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it should say the number of, and
You still on number 8?
I am,
Okay.
I would, at number 2, I would eliminate number 3 for any civil penalty request and just make that one sentence. And then number 3 would be, notice shall be provided by US mail, certified receipt, return. Right,
Okay.
that way we know they get it. It says how to do it in here, there
Yep.
should be no questions asked.
On number 3, what was that?
Number 8,
Number 8.
right here.
Number 3 on number 8. Yeah, number 8, yeah, I've got that.
Number 3.
Yep.
So make this number 3.
Okay.
Make
Scratch
this,
that part.
no, just make it and any, make that part of number 2, and any
Certified, yeah.
penalty assessed. So this will go right at the end of that.
Okay.
All right, so not a separate sentence.
Yeah, okay, all right, good. You just basically get rid of the number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And what was the other one you said?
It was in the same one, it was just
Make it
Shorten it up.
Make number 3.
instead of having B, it just becomes number 3.
Yeah, go to number 8. Yeah.
So this will be number 3.
Oh, okay, that's what you're talking about. Okay, okay. I thought it was like a number 3 on the actual ordinance itself. Yep, gotcha. Right.
So similar to your number 6 that we crossed out,
Yes, sir.
number
Well, we cross
11.
out.
Number 5.
Well, yeah, number,
Crossed out number 5, change 2 to 3 on number 6.
yeah. Is that the no response one?
No, that's number 10.
Okay,
Number 10 removed.
so doesn't number 11 kind of impose the same type of repeated failure by a monitoring company to employ verification procedures may result in the town declining response?
Yeah, you can scratch that one too then.
Right? So,
Just B, is that what we're talking about? What are we scratching?
Number 11.
well,
The whole thing or just a piece?
we have no power over monitoring companies. I wish they have a good, a good monitoring company, right?
There's a half a dozen, so it all depends on which one you get. Most of them try to call to verify, but with some places where it's an alarm system, they cannot reset the system until we actually get on scene and verify it's a false alarm.
Is that the case here?
Yes. We have to respond and verify that it was a false alarm, and then we reset the system.
Okay. So get rid of 11 entirely, right? Is that what we're saying?
Pretty much.
Yep.
Do you have an objection to that?
Nope. So then the numbers will just shrink up,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Because we're getting, number 5's gone, number 10's gone, number 11's gone,
Yeah.
so
Be down to
drop
2
down to
pages.
basically
No,
9.
Be down to 4 pages.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah. All right.
Yes, Merle?
So going back to number 8 for a second, it says the town shall provide. What role are the towns going to actually provide with those?
That would be me.
I think it would be worthwhile. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about Letitia and her group over there, if they were just to read this and they would think, well, do we have to do this? What do we have to do? But also, if a citizen reads this and gets a notice, they're gonna go to that desk right over there.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be better just to keep them out of the process and just identify that?
No, because then I would get a phone call that somebody's come up here and, because I work for the town.
Yeah, I understand.
We never can be sure where Phil's gonna be,
Because I'm not a full-time chief.
but they can get a hold of you.
Correct. Town office is open Monday through Thursday, so
Okay, so we'll have to read those changes.
you can say the town or chief.
Okay.
Because again, I do work for the town, so it's all under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like this department's a private entity of the town. It's a municipal department. It's part of the town.
Well, I think that's also covered in section 14 too, where it talks about enforcement about
Yep.
fire chief, code officer, town manager, or their designees, so.
Correct. It encompasses everything on that,
Right.
being the AHJ, authority having jurisdiction.
I do have a question. I think the intent was more for like mechanical failures, right? Not phone call based spoofs, I guess.
Mechanical or improper cooking?
Okay, but not like if I hated my neighbor and, you know, like, I don't know, pretended to call in as them kind of thing or like something like that, like,
But it's
not
not-
like phone call based.
Right, but that'd be a third-party call.
Right,
It's not an alarm sounding.
Yep.
It's a third-party call.
okay, so I want to make sure that we're excluding
Correct.
those from,
This is just for monitored systems.
okay.
Wouldn't that be like a civil offense or something?
That'd be a Cumberland County issue.
Yeah, right.
That's, many, it's a neighbor and fence thing. And that's where county would get involved, 'cause that's a civil issue.
But I know, not to make up a situation, but like, I don't know, I've heard of some stories across like the nation and stuff too, like some places getting spooked, phone calls flooding in, those kind of things, and
Yeah.
responding to emergencies that don't exist kind of thing.
But
So-
again, this is just for alarms.
Right, we're excluding that, I
Yeah.
think we need to work on that.
If the neighbor calls in, it's a third-party call, because they come in saying, so-and-so at this address, he's called in regards to this address.
Yep.
It's a third-party call, we don't have confirmation of the person at this address. We still respond, but it may not be a full response mode, because then at that point, it's a still box. On these, it's a supervised box, which drops everything from this town and then a ladder from the surrounding town.
Yep. Okay. Great. Yeah, I think that was my biggest concern, just want to make sure the intent is there to exclude those kind of things.
Yep.
So this format and content now makes sense to you? Is that all?
I think the appeals should be looked at,
Yeah, I think the,
number 13.
I think it's probably best that's appeals to the Board of Appeals, and then our notice of violations, is that 30 days? So maybe we can increase that time as well.
What gives the Board of Appeals the authority to look at that?
It's an administrative appeal, a decision of the fire chief.
I don't think the Board of Appeals has authority over that, do they?
I mean, they can appeal, people can appeal any decision that we make.
Do they not? But the Board of Appeals, I don't know if I agree with that. They, of the,
It's an appeal on the ordinance then, correct?
yeah, but it's not our ordinance. It's not a planning board issue, right? This would be actually a selectman issue.
administrative issue.
He could do, the Board of Appeals can hear administrative appeals with regards to our, what the hell do we call these things? Our building ordinance, code,
Well, any decision
ordinance.
that's
Land use,
made-
thank you.
Okay, so it's just a land use thing?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that any decision made by administration,
Right.
an administrative appeal goes to the ZBA.
What did you use as a template for this? If you look at another town's ordinance?
Somewhat, but a lot of towns go way further in depth because they're talking about sprinkler systems, commercial infrastructure, where we don't have that, so we're kind of on,
Annual.
a different territory. I know there was a town that was up north, and I can't even remember the name of it, and I tried Googling it, but the fire chief went in front of the planning board and the board of selectmen to put in a nuisance alarm ordinance because they kept going to the commercial building over and over and over, and he's like, guys are leaving work, we're constantly going to this place, it's time to start getting some funds or force them to fix the issue. And that's what it was.
The incentive would be. And it's, what you're saying is you have a place, and you get repeated calls from a monitoring company, and the incentive would be for them to get their system working properly.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Again, we're not trying to make money here, we're just trying to, emphasize on them, let's do some maintenance or fix the issue, relocate the head, do some in-house training.
Appeal from any decision.
We're here to work with you, we're just, after so many calls, I'm sorry, but it's not free anymore.
Appeals.
According
to the Maine rules of civil procedure.
Well, that's land use appeals. She's saying that the Board of Appeals has a broader authority, and they may.
We can get back to it.
Yeah,
That's something to ask on.
I hadn't heard that before.
It's being enforced on an ordinance, so I would assume it'd go to the ZBA, wouldn't it?
Right, I mean, I'm just trying to think of all the other ones, but I guess they have been land use based because those are the types of violations that code enforcement generally issues.
Yeah.
Whether it's like
If you come across a setback issue,
right, yeah,
That'd
that
go
or
to ZBA.
a not permitted use kind of thing.
Yeah, but that
again,
has to do with
isn't-
the planning board. And
Not
the
necessarily.
CEO.
if it's a residential structure and you're talking about somebody's shed that may have been moved now too close,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been planning board.
No, I said the CEO too, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if they didn't know about it and it got moved,
Yeah,
somebody
I
did
don't
it on
know.
the, somebody did it on
I
the
don't know
land.
the answer to that question. I'm not Brendan does.
They can hear any appeal for any reason.
You can appeal anything? Yeah.
And the appeals board is the proper
Yeah.
authority.
Guess that's why it's
So
called
change that from
the
10
appeals
days to
board
30
and not
days?
the zoning board.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay.
So we're changing that from 10 to 30?
Yep. Can you change it now? Find it again.
What were we talking about? Oh, 13th?
Instead of 10 days, it was on the
30?
appeal.
30 days, 10 days or 30
Yeah.
days? Okay.
There it is. Okay. Any other
Well,
conversation about that? Go ahead.
number 9. So, upon the fourth false alarm within a calendar year, the town may require the alarm user to submit documentation. It should be shall,
It's right there.
Okay,
which shall include,
Okay, yep.
yeah. What was the number for that one?
number 9, 9A. There's 2 shalls in there, replacing the names.
Yeah,
2 shells, right?
2 shells. Shell right on top of the other shell. Double shells.
Okay.
And
Okay.
B, should that be shall again?
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be 3?
Yeah, B, shouldn't B be the may and, under D, shall also? Failure to complete required corrective action shall result in additional enforcement action.
Well,
I think that should stay may, because that's, we're working with them. You know, if there's an issue and we're trying to come up with a remedy to fix, not trying to, again, we're not trying to pin them in a corner, but work with them, so I think that,
Okay. Well, if they don't do it, then they're going to incur another
correct.
whatever fine, so.
Right, if we go again, here's another $1,000.
And shouldn't B be 3? You can't have an A without a B when you're doing outlining.
What's that?
You can't have a B without an A when you're outlining. Should that not be 3?
Yes, that's what they fixed on number 8.
That should be a 3,
Yes.
right? Okay.
well, should we just eliminate that? B?
Yeah, get rid of the B, just 3.
Yeah, it's just 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It just, that's going in the same sentence, and 3 is moving down to where B is.
Yep.
And instead of written certification that the alarm user,
Which one are you on now?
number 2, verification. I don't know, do they even offer a certification in their, training?
What are you talking
On a
about?
monitored system, yes. At a certain facility, yes. As, if it's a residential, then no. Because again, if you have like Simply Safe or Protection One, if it's residential, you may have police, fire, rescue in that system. That's residential. When you start getting into commercial, yes, they need to know.
And they get a certificate that Bill
It needs-
Strike is certified to do this?
No, it's the alarm company that does it.
Right. They give them a certificate.
They give them a certificate that has been maintained or serviced, and that,
All I'm trying to get here is verification or certification. Now, if they don't have a certification, then we would just verify that they've been trained, right?
yeah, as far as pulling a fire alarm and whatnot, yes. When it comes to a again, we're getting into commercial and residential. Residential, it's, most of them, 99% of them don't have a fire alarm. You pull.
Right. Well, I'm just hung up on the word how are you gonna,
Yeah, I see that.
how are you gonna certify?
Well, they would do it in-house at that specific residence.
So then they would verify, not
Correct.
certify. All I'm saying is.
Yeah, I guess it's just.
Smith's Alarm Company may not have a certificate of completion of Fire Alarm 101 training,
That would be done in-house with the, what's the word I'm using?
HR trainer or whatever.
Yeah, the authorized personnel that are there, the staff, the staff,
Yeah.
would have to have fire, basic fire alarm, procedures, and they've got a book down there as far as that. Okay? Each of those buildings has a book as far as their procedures,
Yeah, okay.
policies.
Okay. You could just have a little form that you fill out right on site, giving the verification, right?
Well, they have it in-house, that's done in-house on their premises. That's not something.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yes.
Okay, yep.
Because of the staff turnover, that's done in-house.
So do we want to leave it certification or change it to verification?
I would say verification. Because again, I can walk in and say, can I see the records of the staff members and all those that have been trained on it? It's not a certification, it's just basically a yearly checkoff list saying, yes, I know how to dial 911, yes, I know how to pull the fire alarm. Okay, thank
We're
you.
done. And which number are we on?
That was number 2.
Under stat,
Under 9, that was under 9, number 2.
thank you.
And then just number 15. In most of our ordinances, we use a different wording. I think it means the same thing. So we should one aspect of this ordinance prove to be invalid. It does not affect the remaining of them. Have you read that in our ordinances?
Oh, yeah, look
Yep.
forward, yeah.
I guess I would just like to be consistent in that wording.
That's great.
This is, I'll find that for you anyway.
Okay.
So what do
No,
you
it
want
says
to
the same thing, Phil, just what. we-
Whatever goes with your other ordinances, you know.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments? Dave, do you want to try and read back what you've got?
Sure. So, yeah, don't want that page, don't want that page. Okay, so, on what would be page 2, we're scratching 5. Number 6, we're changing the 2 to 3. Number 7, we're changing, we're scratching the 3rd under 7, we're scratching 3rd time of 250, we're scratching that right off. 4th, we're changing 350 to 500.
Yep.
And then number 5 would be after 4th, 1,000. I guess that's what we want to
Yep.
do. Then on the next page, under 8, it would be under A, we're scratching the existing number 3, moving it down to the bottom sentence, and changing the notice may to notice shall, scratching electronic or other reasonable means, and putting certified return receipt in its place. Number 9, we're scratching shall after town may require the alarm. It's going to say town shall. And on the next sentence down, the last part of that sentence says which may include, we'll say which shall include. That's under 9. Then under 9, number 2, we're changing certification to verification. Number 10 gets scratched. Number 11 gets scratched. And number 13, we're changing, under town manager, within 10 days, we're changing that to 30 days.
Yep. And then back on number 9, upon the 3rd, not the 4th.
Yeah, you mentioned that, I think.
What was that?
Number 9,
Yep.
Oh, yep, on the 3rd, okay,
Yep.
yep. Missed that one. Okay. And those are the changes.
sweet.
That was the easy one. So we all in agreement with that? You're gonna take care of that, Garrett?
Yeah, I can, you sent me the Word document for that one, right? So I can submit the edits
Yep.
there and then get it back to you guys.
Yeah, if you need anything, just let me know. All right. Yeah, that was easy.
Good.
Now we're on to,
And we'll look at it next meeting and move on from there.
yeah.
Excellent. Okay. All set with that one?
You done too?
Yep. Nice. Thanks for all the comments. Okay, let's talk about the fire hydrant ordinance. And so Phil, why don't you just go through your changes here?
Yep. Let's see, on 1.2.3, where it says the developer association agrees to pay $2,000 for a reserve account to be placed in escrow for further repairs. I suggest move that up to 3, because obviously the cost of materials have changed dramatically since this template was made back in 2010. So it's been 16 years, and as you guys know, there's been a cost increase on just about everything.
Okay.
Under number 3, 3A, all hydrants shall be 6 or 8-inch PVC scratch out steel.
It's all PVC now.
All PVC. 3B, the connection stays the same with the height. I just want to add height of 36 inches above grade to the top of that
grade.
end.
Is that like down on Marathon?
Say it again.
Is that like down on Marathon there?
That one's actually a little high. That one's going to be lowered down a little bit. That's actually at 40 inches. So it's actually a little bit high. We want it at about 36, because when you back flush the truck, it's an easy flow to get back into it, and then it's a consistent pull to the truck at that point.
Okay.
And that one was cast iron, that's why it was being replaced with PVC. Cast iron failed. And then, still on number 3, but on the next page, page 4.
Oop, I'm number 4.
I don't have a 4 or a 1, Phil.
4 or 1.
Yeah, I don't have the 4 either.
I've got a 1, I don't have a 4.
The 3, E, F, G, and H.
You have a 2 or a 4.
Two, I don't have 2 or 4.
2 or 4.
Oh, so it never got printed on that side. Okay.
I'm missing 2 and 4.
Yeah, I'm missing 2 and 4, yeah.
You're missing 2 and 4?
Okay. Well, I can give you, I can give you a copy of these.
Oh, I'm missing 2 and 4 also, yeah.
That may have been my bad, maybe I just printed it wrong, I'm wrong.
I would like to see
Did you mean to print on both sides probably? And just to
I don't know, I didn't mean to print on both sides, so I don't know what
Okay, can we go get?
Yeah, I can print 4.
Yes,
Do that.
take a
Yeah,
minute.
we can finish this off.
Yeah. I just don't want to take too long because it is my birthday, so I'm waiting to go up to dinner, so.
Oh, happy birthday. How old are you?
48.
48? Oh, still a young fella.
Just a baby in the book.
Youngster.
There are days I don't feel like it. Especially after today with shoveling hydrants.
No fun.
The rescue was busy transporting the main med, so I went around and did all the hydrants.
Jesus.
It's a lot of snow.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey. Sorry, Grandpa.
Just gave me a reality check.
Did I just give you a heart attack? I didn't need you right over here.
Oh, Lord.
48, he's still green behind the ears.
So while he's looking for the page, I have sort of a general question. I agree we really need the fire hydrant. But where in the overall scheme of ordinances will this go?
Where in the grand scheme of what?
Would this go to the land use category?
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes in the,
It kind of be standing by itself.
It's a separate thing.
I have to see the whole ordinance, but, you know, on this first page, it says, all proposed developments with 3 or more house lots shall provide hydrants piped to a minimum within 800 feet of all proposed homes. So that should go in our
Subdivisions.
subdivision section.
Which is named.
So,
yep.
And that 800 feet might need to fluctuate depending on location of said subdivision too. And that would be up to the planning board to decide that, because that also comes into, it may not be a pond, it may be a cistern tank. And that's the other thing, once he gets that page back where I was gonna put the amendments in.
Phil, where did this come from? I mean,
This was drafted up back in 2010
I mean,
by this town.
By the town, by our town?
Do we know what our public protection classification is now?
It's a 9,
It's a 9.
still a 9,
Okay.
ISO rating.
All right. The planning board in the past has always treated this as a policy because we didn't have an ordinance. So this ordinance was never accepted by the town. But the planning board was concerned about hydrancy and protection. So I would suggest this is a good framework, but there needs to be a little more work on this. You know, under definitions, you refer to hydrant and you define a cistern, but you don't define an impound pond or flowage or stream or lake.
Fire pond, and then it goes into all hydrants capable of flowing 1,250 gallons a minute.
Okay, so going back to the PPC, you know, I mean, the whole point of this was, you know, we had hoped to increase our PPC, to drop it to an 8 or an 8A or whatever. And that's going to affect everybody's insurance, the homeowners insurance premiums, if we can drop our PPC. So one of the requirements that the insurance companies that set the PPC is that these hydrants have to be certified.
And you need the new.
So and there's a thing called fire flow. Fire flow is a minimum of 250 gallons a minute for 2 hours. So that'd be 60,000 gallons. So, and what we did at the planning board is when somebody agreed to put in a fire pond, we required them to have it certified that it would provide at least 60,000 gallons. So I think that should be written in here.
Well, the other thing is, we're not gonna be just going after one water source.
No.
We're going after multiple water sources.
Well, what we did, is we looked to the future, any impound pond that was built after, I think we started doing this with, up by the town line, was that Merrifield Circle?
Yep.
Okay, that one was certified. That was certified by a civil engineer, and it was certified.
35,000 gallons, that one was.
That was 60,000. That's Merrifield Circle is a pond.
It's a fire pond that's fed by a little stream there, and the last document I saw, it stated 35,000 gallons on it.
Okay, well, if you look at the plans, I think you'll see that it's supposed to be 60,000. At least that was the requirement, because we were seeking certification for all of those. So, I'm just suggesting moving forward, we ought to consider that any impound ponds ought to be 60,000 to comply, to coordinate with the, the fire flow requirements to increase your PPC.
Okay, what about the pond up on, where you're coming down off the mountain by the orchard? Now, there's a pond there, there's supposed to be, it's a clay bottom, blah, blah, blah.
Douglas Hill Orchard?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the pipe, half of the season, the water's below the pipe.
yeah.
I mean, so,
It's not fed.
well, how do we classify that as a hydrant?
It's a dry hydrant.
It sure is dry.
Yeah. Yep.
That
So
was a,
would it,
that was a failure. That was before we required that they be certified.
okay, that's what I'm trying to find out. And so that's not even considered a hydrant, right?
Oh, it is. It's a hydrant.
Well, I thought a hydrant, you got water out of it.
It is.
How do you get water when the water's 2 feet below the pipe?
It's gotten better because when it got put in, the ground got disturbed, so it took several years for it to reseed itself and fill in the voids.
Oh, okay,
So, just like Merrifield, when that got put in, it'd get water and then it'd drain out. You'd get water and then it'd drain, until all that
Okay.
fine sediment actually seals everything back in.
yeah.
Everything's it's like a Debbie or a levee. It seeps until it actually,
It's gonna seal itself,
correct.
okay. All right.
Any time you disturb it, you've
Yep.
impacted that. So it does take time for it to seat itself. I remember when Merrifield went in, it took a while, I think it was a year or two before it finally grabbed hold with all that fine clay and all that sediment that went in there.
Well, a lot of wood ash went in there too to try to help seal that.
Right. But it took a couple of years for it to actually
Yeah.
cork itself. Same thing with Ward Road, that hydrant down there. They expanded that, but it took several years for it to actually finally cork itself and hold water. But again, they only hold as much as Mother Nature provides too.
Right.
Obviously, this past year, we had a serious drought.
Yeah.
We had no pun intended, we had a lot of dry hydrants. They were dry. We knew right from middle of summer, you go to a static source. You go to a lake, you go to a pond, you go to something that you know you've got water. The dry hydrants became dry.
So we're much better, correct me if I'm wrong, Phil,
Yep.
we're much better off be putting these hydrants in bodies of water
If we can.
versus a pond here, a pond there.
Well, unless you have
The ponds seem to be often a failure.
unless you've got a stream bed or a riverbed that
Absolutely,
refill it, recharge it. That's what Merrifield is. When that sucker's going, it feeds into that pond, and then when it drops, and it
Obviously,
doesn't.
that's ideal.
Yeah.
It still allows for a payment if it's not technically possible on any given project, that you still make a payment in lieu of that.
And then you put in a hydrant in the
Nearest body of water.
Well, we have set money aside from your project up on Hancock Pond Road, but that
weave it into our,
Try to put a hydrant down there with an old
Yeah, I know we
railroad
made it,
coming out.
and is
I
that
don't know.
800 a good?
$1,000, $3,500
It
contribution.
was 34.50.
Yeah,
was what it was.
You know,
We should go
It's the same,
forward.
that
and
doesn't
try to
mean
install
you
those.
got
Not yet, because I'm trying to work with the landowner to give us permission to put
on
it
Hancock,
on.
by Hancock.
Correct, get enough trolley tracks there.
Oh, yeah.
Because we do have one that the town paid for the pipe for Denmark to put in at the boat launch in Denmark. And that's a new 8-inch pipe down there at the boat launch. We supplied the pipe, they supplied the crew to put it in, and that's.
Is it in now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, good.
And there was money set aside for one at Peabody Pond.
There's some
Yes.
research on that.
Hopefully those will get done someday.
That money's earmarked someplace though, that
It's in the dry hydrant C900 account, I think, or C something.
long term where it is.
Yep.
I'm assuming a developer is responsible for this entire project.
Correct.
Okay, we need to make sure it says it in there.
I believe it says it on the
Yeah, it
very
does.
beginning. Doesn't it? For all housing develops within the town of Sebago, associations, development, developer, the contractor, landowner, or builder who proposes or builds developments for land, housing, or commercial use.
Where are you?
That's on page 1, right under definitions. You guys have page 4?
Yep.
And then, like I said, 3H, where it talked about cisterns. Take out fire ponds, because I'm gonna move that to 3I. Minimum of 20,000 gallons for a cistern. It's gonna be tough, like Brandon was saying, it's gonna be tough to put a 60,000 gallon cistern tank in, because those are huge chambers. But we do have one in town, it's only 10,000 gallons, and that's on Mariner Lane, Mariner Ave, the dirt road.
Mariner.
Thank you. That's only got a 10,000 gallon cistern tank on it. I'd like the minimum to be at least 20,000 gallons.
How fast can you draw that down, Phil?
How big is the
1,000
tank?
gallons a minute is the pump.
When you say 10,000 gallons, is that like a,
It's 10 minutes, water's gone.
well, I mean, no, what I mean, what's that in square footage? Is that like 30 feet by 20 feet by 10 feet or something?
Hey,
I have to do that math.
yeah, it's, that one,
Wait a minute.
it's big. And that's why I'd like to go to 20,000 gallons, because the other thing with the cistern tank is you have a port to feed back into it. So you're setting up, basically like a cistern tank is basically to help that initial attack on it while you're waiting for other tankers to roll in. It gives you that extra, 4 or 5 tankers sitting there while you're doing the initial setup, and it gives you that response time for the tankers to come in from out of town, because on any desk box, you've got 3 tankers that roll in from surrounding towns. But it's travel time. But by having that much water on a cistern tank, buys you that much more time.
Are there problems with those still freezing after absolute?
Gotta get it deep enough. Gotta get it 4 feet below the frost.
And then the ground just maintains the,
Is there any changes?
Maintains
to
the town.
page
maintains
two?
50, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, you get 20,000 gallons of water 4 feet below grade.
And then you've got a pipe 4 foot.
Yeah, it's an 8-inch pipe that comes out.
Just like a pipe.
Yep, like I said, the one on Mariner Lane, you can see it, it's got a 2.5-inch fill, the 8-inch pipe that you draft out.
20 years without it.
So we can start pumping it into the tank as we're sucking it out, and we'll get tankers there.
And you have to fill those, how often?
Fill it once.
Yeah.
As long as there's no leak.
They don't evaporate.
No,
Once they're sealed, so you open them.
correct. And as long as there's no crack in the concrete or anything like that, then you're good.
Did you have any changes to page 2?
Page 2. Just under 1A, within 800 feet of a hydrant, that's subject to location. Because again, you get up on a mountain, guess what, there's no pond up there. It's gonna be further than 800 feet unless you put a cistern tank in.
But aren't we providing for cistern tanks?
Yeah, that's on, on page 4.
I'm not on either.
Say it again?
They don't have that page.
We're missing 2 pages.
Okay. Because that's also under the front page when it talks about cisterns. Under the definitions, under definition cisterns. Low-grade tank capable of holding significant water for protection with a hydrant attached and means of filling. Fill plumbing such as specified by the chief or designee. It may be construction of concrete, fiberglass, or plastic and is nationally improved by the fire chief or his designee.
So do you want that on page 2, under 1A, all houses shall be within 800 feet unless given a waiver by the fire chief? Something like that, or is that what you?
It's going to depending on location. You know, that's the one thing. I don't want to limit, say, 800 feet, because again, if you're up on the hill, there's no river up there. You're not going to put a pond up there.
If you put 800 feet in there, though, the planning board's gonna,
Right.
that's gonna be the,
Right, that's why I'm, it's within a reasonable distance of houses. Because it says all houses shall be 800 feet of a hydrant or additional hydrants may be required.
subject to review by the chief.
Right. That's a good way to put it.
Subject to be reviewed by,
By the fire chief, I guess. I just,
all right.
Well,
just that
so,
one here.
and again, what are your criteria?
It's up on a hill.
Reviewing.
Say it again.
What's the criteria you're using to review? What's impractical on 4A? Because it costs 15,000 instead of 10,000? Or,
You mean under exemptions?
yeah,
In 1,000 feet?
these are just the legal
Yeah.
things that could get the town in trouble.
Well, if they're within 1,000 feet of a hydrant, then it's already established. And that $1,500 can be placed in for maintenance of said hydrant.
But they're supposed to maintain the hydrant, right?
But if it's already a hydrant that's established, now we just want some little extra key to maintain it, say down the road, oh, we got a crack in the head. Well, a head for a hydrant's $1,000.
But, so the developer typically turned that land, provided the town with an easement for the land for the tank.
For the usage of it.
So once it's accepted, it becomes town property. And the developer is no longer responsible for
Well, there's actually 3 of them that the town never took over. One, Mariner, that cistern tank. I don't believe the town ever took that. Wardrobe, the town didn't take it. And then we can't find any documentation on the one on Taylor Lane, on Anderson.
Why would the town want to accept a,
Responsibility of it.
that's right. So,
Someone's gotta keep it filled with water, keep it
That's
cleaned out.
that's if it's on the, that's if it's a cistern tank. If it's a fire pond or a hydrant that's attached to a brook, then it's.
Still needs the maintenance.
Correct.
but this is provided for in here by their homeowners association or the developer,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And why would the town go in and, why would they want to take it over and maintain it? If the homeowner doesn't even care enough to maintain it himself.
The problem being, let's just say the developer, myself, if I'm not maintaining this fire pond, and we go to hook to it, and Phil comes to, there's a fire, Phil comes to hook up to it, and it doesn't work,
Right.
then you say, oh, Kurt, shame on you.
Well, the theory was that these ponds, these impound ponds, weren't for the exclusive use of that particular development. The whole point was to make improvements for the entire town's benefit. So, because there are a lot of places that are beyond going, I don't want to go back to PPC, but they set distances from homes to these ponds or these dry hydrants in order to get more favorable insurance rates. So it was the town's intent was to make some of the developers that put money into a hydrant account was for the benefit of the entire town. So that the town would accept responsibility for maintaining these, not just the developer.
Because every spring we go around, we flush them all, and we tag them.
Just like Phil spent the day shoveling them all out.
Yeah. We go around in spring, we back flush them, and then we draft on it to verify, does it work? And if it doesn't work, we put a trash bag over it, and it's out of service, and we gotta find out what's wrong with it. And right now, Marathon is trash bag, because that's broken out in the lake. That hydrant is no good, and that's a town hydrant.
And when you did the development up from Peabody Pond, Fern, the idea is that they donate money to put one by the boat landing. That would be of benefit to the entire pond.
Entire road.
And this wasn't impractical where they were, so you put it where it would be practical, which is down there.
And I had to
You started
ask,
doing that.
right, I had
4 or
to
5
ask
years
them
ago.
for it because with nothing on the books, all I'm doing is asking gracefully. They can say no, because there's nothing on the books that says you have to.
On page 1, under scope,
Dave looks like he had another question. McCarthy, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, okay, Dave Walsh.
under scope on page 1, should that 15,000 gallon water source be changed to 20?
I'd like to change it to 20, yes. Because,
Consistent.
what, did you figure out the size, Brandon? Size?
Oh, yeah, 10 by 20 by 5 would be 12,000 gallons.
Yeah. So to put a 60,000 gallon cistern tank is...
Oh, you just don't do those.
Right.
No,
That's why...
I put in the biggest ones that I'm aware of, actually, it was the Naples Library, put in two 1250s, so it's 25,000 gallons built into that bank behind.
Yeah, that's why I'd like to see at least 20,000 gallons. Because again, 10,000 gallons doesn't buy you a lot of time. And 1,000 gallons a minute off a truck is 10 minutes. Most of the trucks are probably 11 to 12 minutes out, depending on the time of day. That 20,000 gallons definitely buys you that extra time to deal with it.
Then just to follow up on that scope, under scope again, after the 20,000 gallons, what it says, source within 800 feet of all proposed houses, should that be aligned with 1B on page 2, or 1A actually? So subject to be reviewed by the fire chief?
Yep. Because it, it goes back to that famous saying, location, location, location.
Under
So
where are
you-
you, David, under scope?
You have 800 feet and then, or 1,000 feet if there's another one nearby. Why don't we just do 1,000 feet? Is 200 feet gonna be consistent, right?
Yeah, that sounds
200
good.
feet's not gonna make,
Like I said, I'm just picking up where this was
Yeah.
drafted back in 2010 and trying to pick up and run with it a little bit.
So we need to move on.
Yeah, okay, let's move on, yep.
Okay, David Walsh, where were you when you were putting in your information, please? I didn't know where you were on the document.
Oh, what I just said?
Yeah.
That was page 1, it was under scope.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and it would say, 15,000 gallons changes to 20,000 gallons, and then at the end of that sentence, it says, subject to be reviewed by the fire chief.
but if think this needs to be put into our land use as, for the requirements of hydrants,
Yeah,
if this is what we decide,
right.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, makes
I
sense.
mean, if we're gonna do it in a subdivision, so,
Yeah,
Yeah, I generally recommend keeping things like this as their own standalone ordinance. I think it could be referenced within our land use ordinance, but I mean, for some of these like more technical, like specification kind of things, I mean, I know it's more documentation and more ordinances on the books, but I'm kind of a firm believer of the land use ordinance really pertaining to like zoning matters, and where it's fire protection related, it's probably more appropriate for that to be its own separate ordinance.
standalone ordinance, yeah.
Yeah, like I know like a lot of other towns, I mean, sometimes they break it down even further where they have a subdivision ordinance or a site plan or like, I don't think we need to get that, you know.
And we do have a
separate
book
here,
of
but-
ordinances that, you know, has all the other ordinances in it, so yeah, and this one probably would have been in there too.
Yeah, or it could go into a large commercial development. You know, it's not just subject to, you know, a subdivision.
So we need to move on, actually. So Brett, could you spend some time on this perhaps? Sure. And update it and make some recommendations around that based on what you heard? That would be helpful.
Shouldn't
Pardon me?
that be our job?
To go into the details of it, it could be, but we've got some other stuff we need to work on now.
And I
Go into the details of what?
Yeah.
I just had one other
Finishing
thing to
that off?
add.
Go ahead.
I just had one other thing to add. Under number 3, I wanted to create number I, fire ponds to be certified at 60,000 gallons. State certified or whatever.
What is the numbers again?
3I, it's a new one.
There we go, on page.
we don't have it on the page, right?
It's page 4 it was, I think.
Oh, we don't have a 3I, that's right.
Right, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
Creating a 3I, fire ponds certified to 60,000 gallons.
$10,000, 10,000 gallons a minute, that gives us 6 minutes, right?
It's 1,000 gallons a minute.
That gives us an hour.
Yeah, minimum is what the pumps are now. All of our trucks except for one are now at 1250. And they're coming out with ones that are 2,000 gallons a minute, which need 8 intakes, which you're not gonna get that in this town. You can do 2 intakes if you go to a lake, because you need 2 suction hoses, 2 6-inch lines coming in to feed a 2,000 gallon a minute pump.
Now, is that when you pump, you plop in the plastic
Yep, yep,
pond?
yep.
Yeah, okay.
So we get 1250, and the next one will be a 1,500 gallon minute pump. So, goes through a lot of water.
Yep.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
guys.
Phil.
Do you have any more questions?
No.
Happy birthday.
Happy
happy
birthday,
birthday.
Phil.
Happy birthday. So, great. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Okay.
This one? Oh, I said I forgot my water.
All right, so we ready to talk about, I'll just call it gravel roads for now?
Oh, we're gonna talk about gravel roads?
Yep.
Okay,
You know, just,
This package, essentially, we'll talk about this package.
okay.
Okay, and Brett, you were going to kind of chat a little bit about that, but however you want to go through it again to get feedback on that. I think everybody's read it pretty thoroughly. Okay. My hope would be that, is that we look for what we can agree upon in terms of what'll work for us, more so than focusing much on what we don't like, so to speak. So what do we like?
You said there was,
I suggested we start right at the beginning and do all the blue changes.
As in like start with
To
what's
review
in
with-
tab 1 and work throughout kind of
Yeah,
thing?
start
We talked
at the
about them all
beginning.
Right
comprehensively?
through the whole book.
Whatever works for you.
All right, well, I guess just in an effort to stay organized, let's start with Exhibit 1, which is Section 4 of our ordinance. There's not a ton of changes here. The only changes are on page 4-6, where we had asphalt paving plants, temporary asphalt paving plants, concrete plants, cement plants, and temporary concrete plants. We had those added into our schedule of uses. For all of them, they would not be permitted within the village district or the rural residential district, and then they would be subject to planning board review in the rural district.
I would make a suggestion that we put no for all of those until such a time that we create an industrial zone in the town.
I think that would have to come from the select board for them to place, like, are you talking about like a moratorium?
But what, to say no on all of them?
Well, so technically, you have to allow any use at least somewhere in town. However, you can place larger restrictions like I'm thinking of some towns, for example, adult establishments are like a really great example. Like Raymond does this, they don't allow any of those within 1,000 feet of a residential district. Well, there's maybe this much land in all of Raymond that is not, or 1,000 feet in.
Yeah, we don't have that over
You know
here,
what I
though.
mean,
You
right?
know, we got, you know, in the rural district, you get houses that are spread out pretty good.
Well, and that's kind of the point, right? Is if the goal is to disincentivize it, then that's the appropriate mechanism to do it. But if you're talking about just excluding it outright from our use table, I think that would have to be a moratorium placement from the select board.
I think we'd want to at least have in mind where an industrial zone would want to go. I mean,
It's good timing with the comp plan.
You know, if you don't do that up front, it'll never get done. When will it get done? You know, much like Wyndham, I mean, it's like, you know, they put in Shaw's and the business district happened right there, it just happened. It's like, there was no plan. I think this town we should be planning for this, you know? I just, I'm not in favor of just blanketly saying that the rural district is where we're gonna put asphalt plants, concrete plants, cement plants, you know?
Be subject to approval.
By the planning board.
as part of-
Isn't that contrary to what our village district and development district is,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's why it's not permitted within the village district. Is that what you mean?
No, I meant our development should be focused around that village.
It's supposed to be the growth
Oh, okay, I
area.
see what you
Growth
mean,
area,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna keep Wyndham rural like our comprehensive plan calls for, I don't, you know, putting in concrete plants and cement, batching plants and stuff like that, that's really gonna kind of destroy that area.
David, tell me where in this town we can set up a concrete plant.
Exactly, but
We got 100 million acres of land.
yeah.
Somewhere, sometime, there's gonna be a development of industry in this town.
Right.
You and I aren't gonna see it.
And we should create that zone first.
Well, where might you suggest it?
Like, who's gonna throw a concrete plant in next year and the next 5 years here? Probably nobody.
Nobody.
It gives us time to work on it.
But where would you, but what I'm saying is, it's subject to the planning board decision. That's out there, okay? You're saying we don't know when it's going to, it may be 10 years from now. Well, fine, but in the meantime, the planning board's got jurisdiction over the fact that it's not gonna go down here on the corner of,
Well, much like the quarry, I mean, it's like, you know, you don't have any zoning, so it's allowed, you know, and then all of a sudden nobody wants it, and then there's a big fight, you know? It's like we want to prevent that.
so
I'm okay with this, actually, for
Yeah.
for the time
For the
being,
town meeting.
to get going. And then after the comprehensive plan comes along, then we can adapt a little bit if we need to. But I would be okay with, at least it gets us some protection.
And we do have the zoning, but in that circumstance, you know, the removal of material, gravel, et cetera, was allowed in that district, and that was adjusted, I think, very specifically as relates to those districts.
Well, you'd have to be careful about writing your ordinance, it seems like, because you're processing it at that point, and it's like you're changing it from one form to another, so it's not no longer, you know, gravel or...
Well, that's what I mean, is there was always gravel pits in that part of town, so they were allowed in that district, which is part of the zone.
Yeah.
But the issue came up when they wanted to go beyond just gravel and start removing stone. That's what caused the issue to come up.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. I think if you look at our current comprehensive plan, and I bet $100 to anybody here, if you look at our new one, it's going to say that we want to maintain our rural way of life and enjoy our peace and quiet. And to put this in the rural district is
Let's make
just
a
the
lot of
opposite of where we should be putting it,
Yeah.
I think.
Where would you put it, David?
Should the town create an
There's
industrial
gonna
district?
have to be something sometime down the road in order to maintain the tax
It
base of
doesn't
this
say you
town.
can't put it there.
Well, right now, our comprehensive plan says we want to maintain our rural characteristics and idyllic way of life. And if you have areas that are zoned or designed to be more developed, then it should be in those areas and not in the rural.
But what type of zoning would that be?
That's what we have to work on.
I don't know.
I think that as a board, we can probably agree that right now our zoning is a little limited and maybe not as expansive as some other towns. I think the board could also maybe recognize that this is probably a temporary fix, right? We don't have the zoning mechanisms in place, like we don't have an industrial district or a general development corridor or things like that. And while the town is currently working on now updating the comprehensive plan, I think those are important discussions to have in that, throughout that process, right? To think strategically about maybe where those industrial areas or commercialized areas could be. Then, once that comp plan is adopted, you know, moving forward, maybe creating a new general development zone, or maybe there's a mineral extraction overlay district or something to that nature, right? Like those kind of discussions are gonna happen soon, I would like to think, with the comprehensive plan process. But I think for right now's sake, I think the mechanisms the town can use to essentially regulate these types of asphalt paving plant uses is either by prohibiting them within the village and rural residential district, and then allowing the planning board, the regulatory authority, to review that, or the select board then would have to place a moratorium to prohibit them outright for the time being.
Well, these aren't even on there. As I said before, the ordinance review committee and the planning board already voted, and the public agreed that we would not allow any of these. So we had a public hearing last year on this,
Okay.
and we eliminated these altogether. My suggestion would be,
Keep them eliminated.
what?
Did that, why are we talking about? If you already eliminated it, like you said.
No, I'm saying it didn't get put on the warrant. Okay, we had a public hearing, so it didn't get put on the warrant. I would rather see this perhaps with a mechanism of not within 1,000 feet of any residential area, residential development.
That makes more sense.
That makes more
because
sense.
the way this reads right now, you could build a cement plant on Anderson Road.
Right.
Yeah.
It's in the rural district.
Like
And I
David
would
said,
say-
it should be more,
1,000 feet's not very far. Not
Should be
a
more
rural
where?
district.
should be more downtown and the what,
That's what I'm saying.
That's what, it's opposite of what it reads, but like you said,
Exactly, yeah.
that's probably, maybe, I don't know, gonna be our industrial, commercial zone down there somewhere, so only guessing.
It would
It's
make
not gonna
more,
be on Douglas Mountain.
it would make more sense to do that because you're gonna end up having to sewer it at some point in time anyway. You might as well have your commercial zone where the sewer's gonna have to go anyway. So-
Or you have that, I believe Mason's Beach, isn't that a village district?
What, where do
And I would expand that out towards the Folly Road, but.
where are you gonna put the sewer, David?
What?
I would think like 1,500 feet maybe. 1,000 feet's not very
No,
far,
it's not.
not very far in the rural area. I mean, you know, geez, a lot of houses out there are more than 1,000 feet apart, and you can hear the neighbors talking as clear as a bell. I mean, if there's pasture land, I don't know.
Doesn't it say, I don't have it in front of me, doesn't it say something about the planning board approval?
Yeah.
It's ultimately it's up to the planning board regardless of where you specify it's going
Yep.
or not going. You have the final say,
Yeah.
correct? So that's kind of
For 5 more months.
Well, I mean, you might.
kind of a final say, right?
No,
Yeah.
well, again,
For,
how come Kirk can have a gravel pit and Merrill can't? Because this board decided on what, based on what? You
we
know?
both got one.
Wow. Well, the way this reads, it says if you put it in a rural residential area, you could.
Well, it's not entirely just up to the planning board. The planning board has to justify its decision.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
So you,
Has to have something back.
You have to follow the ordinances, right?
Right,
So
when you guys go through your findings of fact, right, you go through each checklist, I mean, that's kind of where, and I think I get what you're saying, right, where some of that can be interpreted as a little bit of, you know, subjectivity, but I think that's kind of the importance of the findings of fact and going through there, if the board were to make their decision to approve or deny, whatever it may be, in the event that it gets appealed, if it were to get appealed, that way the Board of Appeals can clearly follow and justify what the planning board did.
Would you have to allow asphalt paving plants, or could you just allow temporary asphalt paving plants within, say, 1,500 feet of a residence? Do you necessarily have to allow both? And the same thing goes with the concrete plant.
That's our choice, David.
Yeah, it's up to you guys.
That's
but
up to us.
Whatever feels
We
more
want a
most
permanent one or
appropriate.
we want a
Well,
temporary one?
you're saying we can't say no on all three of them because we're going to get in trouble for that, possibly?
Yeah, I mean, you can't just exclusively prohibit like a certain type of business. I mean, that's discrimination, but.
So we could say no on asphalt paving plants for all three districts, and then planning board review on the temporary paving plant, and that would be okay? Or no?
Sorry, I'm not sure I'm following your question.
He's just saying, can we use, instead of the permanent facility, if we were to, the planning board were to make a decision about temporary asphalt paving plant
Right.
and temporary concrete plants, and there would be a no in the third column in rural for asphalt paving or concrete plant or cement plant.
Just allow one. So we are eliminating.
And the same thing with cement plant, a concrete plant and a asphalt plant. No permanent ones, temporary ones, you know, within 1,500 feet of residence.
Well, if we know that we have to allow something.
Right.
Then it's up to us to decide what ones we
Right, I'm
want.
just wondering, can you
Yeah, I
do
mean,
that?
I think it kind of it falls back on the performance standards and how you define it. So, you know, it'd be similar to like certain like planning board approvals or other building permits. Like It depends on the length of time that it's good for maybe, or whatever is codified in the ordinance, I suppose.
It's just if the ordinances are supposed to follow the comprehensive plan, that this kind of flies in the face of the comprehensive plan.
It does a little bit.
But you also have the law that the comprehensive
Right.
plan has to fall within.
Right, so that's
If
what
the
I'm
law
wondering.
says-
That's the question I'm asking.
The law says you can't eliminate.
But
So
we're
if
not
you-
eliminating, we're allowing temporary.
Well, if you want that, yes, that's the way you're looking at getting around it.
Right.
So
I would
that's,
put them in the village district with 1,500 feet of clearance, where they belong. That's the growth area of the town. It's not rural stuff.
okay, but now that you're talking the village area of town, are you gonna put it down by the school? The back, out there in the fields? You can get 1,500 feet out back there?
From residential dwellings, from schools.
No?
Yeah, where would you put it?
We should have bought Crow's Pit.
Is there any land to put anything like
Well,
that?
that's what I'm saying.
Well, if there's no land to put it on, you can't build one,
But
right?
the law says you have to have something.
You just
What
have
you
to make
do,
it allowable.
all you have to do is buy up
use.
6 or 8 households.
You're buying it now, right?
This is wasting time.
It's more so just making it an allowable use somewhere, rather than like the feasibility of it, because, you know, if it's not feasible to do it, but that's the town's intentions,
Right.
then that's the way.
Right, because you could always purchase land, you can purchase 6, 8, 10 houses if you're that set on putting in a concrete plan.
Yeah, I mean, like some other municipalities, they do like a minimum lot size of like 30 acres or something like that within like a really small zoning district, right? Like it's probably not gonna happen. In order to do that, they'd have to go through several processes,
Right.
and acquire so much lands and combine it and go through that process. And I mean, there's ways to kind of, you know,
And I think
disincentivize
that's the
it.
route we should
But
take, I believe.
again, I mean, I think that's kind of what the intent of this was. So for purposes of kind of moving this along, which districts, which words, I guess, need to change for which uses in which districts here the board would like to see moving forward?
David, you said you'd like to switch it from rural to village, that we could possibly do.
Wasn't that your intent when you worked on the comprehensive plan, that those would be our growth?
This came up after that, it never came up during the original comprehensive plan.
No, I understand that, but your growth area was the village
I
area.
agree, David, it's incompatible with maintaining the rural character of the town if you put, you know, a big cement plant up there, yeah.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Where are the other village districts? Peabody Pond, right? No?
Mason's Beach.
Okay. Long Beach,
Max
Mason's
Corner, I
Beach,
think.
where?
Yeah, and right here, Town Office.
Yeah,
Up here.
Max Corner up here.
Right here, we're in the village.
Okay.
A portion of the land of Stickney is village, isn't it? Like this little swath there in the corner
Yeah,
there. isn't
divides
that where
the
it
lot.
kind of ends right there?
Divides the lot.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna get this picky about, I know that what we're trying to do is be careful that we don't go to court. But we're never gonna get through this at the rate we're going, in the time frame that we have to do it, are we?
I mean, we are on a
We're on
quicker
page 4,
timeframe,
6.
but again, I think so. Would the board be interested in essentially switching those columns from planning board review from rural district and changing that to planning board review in village district? And then changing everything in the rural district column to no, not submitted?
I would be,
The issue there would be the reaction to anything would probably be similar to the reaction of
The
the
court.
court.
yeah,
So, well, you're just creating another headache for me,
Well,
don't do that.
It's probably gonna be the direction once we get a comprehensive plan put together, which we don't have work. Once we get that,
what will be the
this
direction?
what the direction you're talking about, in the village district.
Right.
I'm just guessing. And
We shoot on that one.
Yeah.
Do we want to put a distance limitation on it?
I think that's a smart move.
Yep.
And I agree, 1,500 feet.
Yeah,
1,000
1,500
is
feet,
not much.
1,500 feet in the village district? that what you want to do?
Yep.
Yeah,
But I would only do the village district. I would do probably no's on everything but the temporaries. And the temporaries allowed in the village district with the 1,500 foot.
Yeah, so
I can deal with
put
that.
no on the permanent plant,
Yep.
no on the permanent plants, and 1,500 feet on the temporary plants in the village district?
What is a temporary plant? How long does that last?
We'd have to define
What's the
it.
definition of temporary?
You'd have to define a
Well,
temporary plant.
Temporary is usually when, let's say, the highway
When they're doing a
department
road.
Right.
wants to redo 114,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, they would say temporary plant.
yeah.
Yep.
So just before the life of the project, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, actually a year or something
So
like that.
what did you say again, Bob?
I said to, in the village district, we would have no for the asphalt paving plant. We would have just a
That'd be the
planning
rural
board
district.
for temporary asphalt plant.
Mhm.
And we would have the concrete plant, again, we would have no. In the cement plant, we would have no, and in the temporary concrete plant, we'd have planning board.
and then under rural,
In the
it's all
village.
no.
Yes, in the village, yep,
Yep.
talking village.
Yep.
And then out in rural district, we have no's everywhere. Yep.
Planning board, temporary plant.
Along with the, for where we have planning board would be not within 1,500 feet.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
Do we need
Okay.
to add a definition of a temporary asphalt and temporary concrete plant?
So we have those in there in Exhibit 6. I did go
Okay.
through and add those in, so.
Good.
But we can get that to that in an hour when we get to
Okay.
the exhibit
Good.
page, so. Okay, so that's it for the standard use, or the use table. And then again, on page 4-9, this is where our backlot driveway provisions exist. So trying to align this with the table that's in Exhibit 2 a little bit later on, like increasing the right-of-way, the minimum width, and then changing that language from dwelling units to lots. And then adding design criteria as well. Again, that little blue section there, that just references that, that table in this roadway design standards.
So, is a dwelling unit, is a multi-family unit considered a dwelling unit?
Each unit would
Each
be
unit would be.
a dwelling unit.
In other words, if you've got no more than 2 lots, how many residential dwelling units could you put on 2 lots?
Depends on the density standards within our ordinance and potential for ADUs as well, but it depends on the zone.
Can you put a 10-family multi-unit lot on each lot?
Septic wouldn't allow it.
Yeah. Well, if you could though, if you know, you get those, Fuji systems there that, no, nothing will handle that at this point?
The septic designs are gonna be what's gonna curtail all these ADU units.
Yes.
I think so too.
So you wanna put an ADU unit on your property, or I do, or Christina does. You may not be able to just because of your soils. You may not have to be able to expand. If you can't expand your septic system to accommodate that, then it's null and void.
I'm talking about new construction though.
Oh yeah, I am too.
New construction.
New construction, you gotta build a
You
home
could put a
first.
separate system in on another lot to handle both units, a huge system.
If you have the property to put in a
Yeah,
6-bedroom system, or a 3-bedroom for your home and a 2-bedroom for your ADU, then if you have room for a 5-bedroom, then I'm assuming you could have the ADU.
Well, the reason I bring that up is I just don't know if we ought to be referencing lots or dwelling units. I mean, it had dwelling units down there before, and I don't understand why we're changing it to lots at this point, I guess. Because dwelling units, you know, is more definitive. It tells you 2 dwelling units. Lots, you don't know how many dwelling units is going to be on the lot.
And so we didn't get into this kind of a discussion,
What?
because you keep going on about you can have a lot and then you can end up with 20 units on it.
Well, you can.
But David, as Kurt is saying, there are circumstances that are gonna prevent that. The chances of that happening are close to nil. And this is what hangs us up in trying to get our
You know,
work
that's what
done.
they used to say in Wyndham. If you've been
Stop
on
Wyndham!
You've been on 30
David, put
like,
Wyndham in
you
your
know what
pocket.
you're putting in now.
Jeez,
No, I'm telling you, it's, you know, you've got to look
this
down the road.
is not Wyndham, we are
You
not like
have to design
Wyndham.
your ordinances for the future, 30 years, 40 years, 50
That-
years down the
No,
road.
no.
Yeah,
Our
yeah,
comprehensive
okay.
plan is up to 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
Well, Bob, I
So
mean,
let's-
this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So why are we changing it from dwelling units to lots?
So again, I mean, and I know we've talked about this a lot. The purpose for being consistent with lots is for a few reasons. One, when an applicant comes before you, they're gonna propose lots. We can ask questions about if it's gonna be a single-family residence or a duplex or those kind of things, but like the actual dwelling unit nature of it is a little bit more arbitrary. Lots is a little bit more fact-based. We know in a subdivision, if it's feasible for 40 lots, that's what they're gonna propose, right? So that's what we can base that off of. There might be potential for other ADUs and those kind of things, but again, that's that arbitrary discussion, whereas lots is a little bit more concrete.
So can we limit it to 3 dwelling units per lot? A duplex and an ADU per lot?
Not with the upcoming housing law changes, no.
Huh?
The other thing, the other reason why it's changed to lots as well is to align with the state statute for subdivisions. That references lots rather than dwelling units as well. So again, it's more of a tangible, measurable criteria to base these road standards off of, rather than an arbitrary potential.
Just seems like they have no control over the
The
number of...
restrictions, the whole point of the restrictions on backlot provision is to address the density of use. So it's limited to 2 because of the traffic concerns on the narrow road.
Right.
So if you change it to lots, now you're increasing the number of potential dwelling units. But this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you're increasing the width of the right-of-way to 60 feet, you're essentially making the requirement that it meet the town road standards. I mean, it's credit, it says, you know, backlot provision, 60-foot right-of-way with no more than two lots. If you go to three lots, now you have to comply with the town's road standards, which is also 60 feet. So, why not just eliminate the backlot provision entirely and just require town roads to be built anywhere? There's some things here that just...
The right-of-way is for future development. That was the thought on that.
But there would be no...
An extension.
Backlot. There would be no... We're talking about a backlot, you know, with limited access. I mean, there wouldn't be any additional development where somebody used the backlot provision.
And it can only be, it's for one dwelling, right, a backlot?
Well, backlot provision is for no more than 2 dwelling units. So, but if you change it to lot, now you're increasing the number of dwelling units and you're increasing the potential traffic on what would have been in the past a narrow road. But if you increase the road to the same width as a town road, I don't...
So they're setting it up for the added traffic.
Yep.
Potentially, yeah,
Yeah,
traffic. I'm making the right-of-way 60 feet.
That's right away.
Because we don't want to make an
You're
assumption.
creating a road that would
That's a
meet the
good
town
idea.
standards, that somebody could come along and buy land beyond you,
Right.
and then expect to use that road as access to their new subdivision.
That would be the presumption.
Right, well, I mean, that's the, I guess, logic behind increasing that right of way to 60 feet, though. It would be the responsibility for any future development, instead of having to expand the right of way, because then you kind of get into right-of-way acquisition and expansion and you potential utility relocation and those kind of things, where if we're consistent up front with that 60-foot right-of-way, you know, down the road, if there is maybe another phase of development, they're not gonna have to go through all that process of expanded right-of-way. They can just build upon that right-of-way that's there and improve that roadway that's there too, up to the higher tier standard.
Right. And the reality it is that the abutters are only giving up 5 feet of their property anyway. From 50 to 60, it's like they're giving each side
Suddenly,
5 feet.
if you leave it the way it is, it bars any further development.
It limits it to 2 dwelling units, whereas if you make it 60 feet, you effectively got a town road where you could use the state now 3-unit standard on that lot, and you go from limiting it to 2 to allowing 6. So that's something you need to keep in mind.
Now, you need a 60-foot right-of-way for 2 dwelling units? No. Do you need a 60-foot right-of-way?
Well, I agree
for
with
2
you. No,
dwelling units?
by making it 60 foot, you brought it up to town standards, and therefore the argument that the guy wants to develop is, I have a town road, now I want to take advantage of the provisions, or up to 60-foot right-of-way, now I want to take advantage of the provisions that allow me to have 3 units on a lot. So you went from a limited width of road, limiting it to 2 dwelling units, now to a full-size road that opens it up, to my mind, to 6. So that's just a thought.
Yeah, that was.
Which that's the potential it's gonna have.
That was my point, and open it up to further development.
Yeah.
See their point of view on the back lot.
So-
Yeah.
Going to this.
At whose
Yeah,
expense?
but there's no reason it's.
The developer.
Usually the developer.
No, but I mean,
That
keep it
was
as
not
dwelling
gonna
units.
turn into a regular development, you know?
For 30 years,
let's say you own both sides of that driveway.
maybe in 30 years,
So now-
the Jetsons, we won't use roads.
If I want to develop that, I've got to give up,
Those little,
what, 30 more, 15 more feet on either side of that?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
No,
I understand,
well-
sorry.
It's just, to me, it seems like a huge increase for a back lot for 2 dwelling units is what we used to have.
Well, again, this is kind of the provision, so on the table, subnote 1, for backlots specifically, you know, the applicant does have the ability to request a waiver to the planning board. It reads, a right-of-way of lesser width may be approved by the planning board upon the request of a waiver by the applicant. So, and I know we've talked about this before too, right? Let's say it's properties that are surrounded by land trust, that's not gonna be developed in the future, right? You know, that probably makes sense, that a lesser right-of-way would be appropriate for that area because it's not gonna be expanded in the future. So that's kind of what covers that. You know, these backlot driveway applications are meant to be smaller, kind of staff-led type projects, where if they do need a waiver though, they would have to go to the planning board to get that lesser right-of-way with.
Yeah, if they are butting up against conservation land or something like that.
Yeah, sure, I mean, and again, it kind of comes down to your findings of fact, right, and your reasoning behind that decision, but,
The reality is you're not gonna lose any land anyway because it's just a right of way.
Well,
I mean,
just
people are gonna use
consider
it
one
like
more
they want.
thing, just consider one more thing, you know, say, you know, your great uncle invested, you know, his life savings in a piece of property, and he was looking at that, you know, for the future, for his retirement account. All right, and he knows he's got a farm, and he's gonna keep his farm, and he's got a small parcel out back, and he wants to use the backlot provision and sell 2 potential lots, which he can do using the homestead exemption. He can sell 2 lots, not instead of 1 every 5 years. So, right now, he could do that. He could just go out and sell 2 lots without any planning board approval and use the backlot provision and build a 15-foot or 35-foot right-of-way and legally do this. If all of a sudden you change this to 60 foot and require him to go to the planning board and get planning board approval and eliminate this backlot provision because of some future development which may never happen, even the fact that he has to come to the planning board with engineered plans and everything and then ask for a waiver, I mean, it puts it out of reach for this person who's retired and has no money to spend on a developing piece of property, and he was just looking to that little parcel out there as his retirement account. I think it would be unfair to that person to put it out of his reach to be able to do that.
It's no, I agree with you
Capitalize on the
100%. It's no different than when we adopted the comprehensive plan going to minimum of 3 acres for a house lot in rural zones. Some people could have had 30 house lots, now they only got 10. That's a taking, I mean,
Well-
for anybody. But, same thing, you're putting
Like a twin.
that retirement, nest egg, or whatever, future out of reach for that individual, so. I like the 30-foot for that stuff.
Just keep it the way it is.
I think what Brandon says is, I feel that that's why this backlog provision was written 50, 100 years ago when it was written.
Yeah.
For those, let's say, special circumstances.
Yep.
Someone only has 30-foot right away to that lot that their uncle has been saving.
Yeah.
And
I understand. Yeah.
them having to bring all that to the planning board, ask for a waiver, go through the engineering. I personally think that something like that is what
What's a survey cost?
I just paid $4,000 for a half-acre lot. Just
No drawings, no anything, just,
no drawing.
you got a.
Actually, a drawing with no pins in the ground. Probably cost me another
Gee whiz.
$1,500 to $2,000 for them to come up with the pins. That's just on paper, black and white.
Yeah.
So what are we saying? Are we leaving it at
We don't
60 feet in width, or are we going back to 30?
I'm hearing that we want to change what we have. That's what I'm hearing, but
Yeah, I guess that's probably right.
I can
because
live with that. Yeah.
the only one that it's really affecting is the property owner who's putting in the 30-foot right of way. He's restricting himself for future development anyway. I mean, it's at that point you can't go any further because the road's not going to be wide enough, right? So, yeah. So
Okay.
you're limited to the 2 lots. Because otherwise you got to widen the road, and you won't have the room to widen the road because you don't have the right of way to do it on.
You don't own it.
So I'm gonna preface this, I spoke with Christina about developing a lot beyond my house, so, but my real argument is that, to me, it's like a taking. So that's, like I said before, when you set larger lot sizes for rural areas, it affected a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people realized at the time, at that town meeting, what it actually meant for them, you know? Taking a 10-acre lot where now you can only develop 3 lots.
And just to, if I could speak on what you're saying, David, real quickly, I've heard David talk about these ADUs and adding an ADU to a house. And I've been thinking, geez, I don't know if that's a good idea. I've been back and forth, and then the other night I was thinking that, so we need more housing. And so if we have to accept these ADUs, I don't know. But if we do start putting in ADUs, it helps with housing. But that person, let's just say we built an ADU for Merle and his wife on this 3-acre lot. Well, that saves a 3-acre lot over here that may end up being, or may be in green space, or we're giving some of the housing, but we're not depleting our rural character. So at the moment, I think I'm a fan of the ADU.
I just always look at these like it's not the lot that drives the car up and down the road, it's the residents. That's, so it's like when you talk about lots and everything's geared towards lots and not residential units, it's like there's no traffic count there on an individual lot with,
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about the traffic. I was thinking about saving land.
Need to keep in perspective that more progressive elements in the town back then wanted to have it 40-acre lots in the rural area.
Yeah.
We managed to get them down to 3 and to try to get that under control. 3 was the amount that was recommended by the Maine Woodland Owners Association as an appropriate amount. So that's where that came from. And remember, they wanted 40. If I talked them down to 3, I did you a favor.
No, but, and again, I'm not complaining about you. I'm just saying, I don't know if the town really knew what they were voting for. It was only an acre, right?
It was an acre and a half.
Acre and a half.
We made it
So,
3. And that was in keeping with the desire of the state to
right.
try to prevent there from being an limit the growth in the rural district, not prevent it.
Right.
Put me right out of business.
So I would agree with leaving it at 30 feet. It doesn't harm anybody but the person who owns the property. It's not harmful to the rest
Instead
of
of
the
changing it to
community.
60.
So I'd leave it at 30 feet.
And if he
Okay.
wants to make it 30 to prevent the guy up the road from being able to
Exploiting
go
it.
for
Well, that's what it does.
like-
I don't know, we're not trying to prevent anybody from doing anything. They're doing it to themselves. I mean, that's so, yeah.
And there's nothing that prevents him from making it larger if he wants to.
No, as long as you meet the setback requirements at that point, because, you set your house off the road exactly, the required amount from the right of way, and now all of a sudden, your house is gonna be too close to the road. Then you've gotta,
I'm sorry. If the fella has land in the back, 100 acres, and he wants to put in a subdivision, then he's gonna build a 60-foot right of way. And it's not gonna be under the back lot provision.
Yeah, correct.
So he has the ability to do that
right,
if that's the plan. But if we keep this back lot provision kind of the way it is, then it's addressing really the back lot.
we just don't want somebody to unknowingly put in a 30-foot right of way and thinking later on they're gonna put in a subdivision out back and now you can't do it.
Well, they're gonna come before you guys, you're gonna tell them.
Can we do a straw poll?
Sure.
Yeah, you can, sure.
About leaving, this is just a straw poll, leaving it as it was. I'm
All of
gonna
it?
say we leave it as it was.
All of it,
I would say-
or just the 30 feet?
30
The
feet.
30 feet and the 15 width
Yeah.
should remain.
Just leave it the way it
We
was.
should make the changes to reference to the lots rather than dwelling units.
That's in there. It's changed to that. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So,
Remember, the law, like you said, the law revolves around lots, it doesn't talk about dwelling units. What it says, unfortunately, is you can put
okay,
3 dwelling units on a lot.
I could live with that,
Well,
I guess.
you can leave it just the way it is and still call it dwelling units. That way you're not risking
Overburden, all right. I'll agree, I just was a thought. No, you're right, when you get down to it, if we're gonna make the provision dependent on leaving it 2 housing units, then leave it housing, 2 dwelling units.
Mel's got a question.
So we're not gonna change anything in that paragraph, is what we're saying.
After he asks the question, I'll say something.
So, I understand the difference between a dwelling unit and a lot. I don't really necessarily have in-depth knowledge about our new state law that's going to go into effect
No one does.
next
including
year.
the-
But my general recollection is that it allows for 2 dwelling units on a lot, plus an ADU for each dwelling unit?
No,
It's the,
no, one ADU per dwelling unit, dwelling unit, right?
well, so it's the 2 outright. And then if there's public water, there's the additional +1. And then if it's within a town identified growth area, that's where the other one comes in. So in theory, you could have
Outside.
primary residence and then up to 4 others that create a total of 5.
But we couldn't if we don't have public water.
That's
Right,
right.
or,
So
well,
many, so many restrictions, public water, sewerage.
so there's also kind of a caveat to that. It also says, it doesn't necessarily say public water supply, it could also be a communal
Right.
water supply or a communal septic.
Right.
So
Like yours.
where if it's a shared well system,
Doesn't it say reference 12 units though? 12 people for a public water supply or sewer? I thought I read that in there.
I'm not sure, they've changed it quite a bit over the last few
Well,
months. so.
it could be.
Yeah.
The initial one I had.
So we agreed we'll leave it as it is for the time being.
Yep.
Christina wanted to speak.
Oh, no,
I think
I changed my mind.
I think what you're referring to, David, is community wells. Once, you can have a shared well, and it's not a community well, but once you reach a certain threshold,
Becomes a
Then
water
we-
system.
The water
Becomes a
system, then
public
becomes a
system.
community.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I'm on a shared well.
Okay.
right, this is different though, because
I know what you're saying. in a
12
development.
units and more would
Yeah.
require state
Yep.
interference.
Okay. So we're leaving, what I hear, in our polls, we're leaving as
Howard?
We're leaving it as is.
as is.
Okay. It's the
Okay,
next
Brett?
page, Brett.
Okay, sorry, so,
So we'll
make sure
change,
I'm clear. So for this page specifically,
Yep.
we are changing it, or keeping
Keeping
the
it
30
forward.
feet,
Yep.
keeping the 15 feet,
Yep.
and then keeping dwelling units
Yep.
as opposed to lots.
Yep.
and so you're going to,
And then, so obviously, we'll maybe change the table later, but just to get through this page real quick, so that
Yep.
at the bottom part, the design criteria,
Yep.
that's not too controversial there, again, just referencing that external table.
oh, perfect.
Help point people in the right
Good.
direction.
Once you change that table.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, making progress. Exhibit 2 is section 5 of our land use ordinance. Again, largest changes within this one relate to that table. Some provisions start on page 5-22, which allow the applicant to, again, this is that formal waiver mechanism for the applicant to be able to request a waiver from paving to go to gravel instead. Any issues there on 5-22?
I'd like to get back to the 5-21.
Uh-oh, did I miss one? Oh,
I
shoot,
think
sorry,
We're talking about residential lots.
Oop, yeah,
It's-
520,
it's-
actually, it starts, yeah.
That's A up at the top.
Yeah.
3 to 9 residential lots. Isn't there a potential for,
Changing
many
60
more,
back to 30.
many more
Yeah.
residential units on those lots? I mean, we're not talking about single-family houses necessarily.
So again, I mean, like we've discussed, this is, I think, my concern about if we put in dwelling units. If there's a, let's say, a 9-lot subdivision, if somebody wants to put in and each of those lots have a single-family residence, let's say somebody wants to put on an ADU, where that classifies as a dwelling unit, they would then be forced by this ordinance to then have to upgrade the rest of the road to that higher tier standard.
The state's gonna force us to do this ADU unit anyway, so I think it should say,
Well, you referenced, private
Residential
road
lots.
has a 60-foot right-of-way, so, right? Whatever we call it here,
Yep.
I mean, your standards are there, 3 to 9 are the same as 10 lots or more on a collector street, right?
For the right-of-way, yes. For the width of pavement, so the private road and minor street are fairly identical in terms of roadway design standards. However, it's the private road that could be gravel,
Right, yeah.
where the minor streets are what's gonna be paved. So really, the different threshold there is the amount of lots being proposed, where a larger amount of lots would need to equate to it being paved. Again, that danger of if you make it based on dwelling units, like that, I personally don't think it's good practice, even if it's a 4-lot subdivision, right? It could become a race for people to try to put ADUs on their properties, and that kind of can be exclusive of some people as well. So I think it's easier to just base it off of lots in this instance.
What was the discussion we had either the last meeting or the meeting before
Okay.
about putting in roads, that it was cheaper to build and maintain gravel roads than it was tar roads? And we were going to get rid of minor roads, blah, 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 and have, it was like the association road.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What was that discussion, and where does this
It was
private
more
road
expensive
stuff?
to maintain paved roads.
What?
It was more expensive to maintain paved roads than
Right.
it was.
It's cheaper to
yeah,
do gravel
gravel
roads
roads,
than it is to do, I mean, we had that whole discussion, and I thought we got rid of an awful lot of the kinds of roads that we had.
Yeah.
It did come up at the joint planning board and select board meeting. I thought you had brought that up too, in terms of the maintenance cost.
Yeah, because Kurt was,
But, yeah, in terms of like the ownership, like who's responsible for maintaining that, that would fall in on page 5-23, where we talk about any of the privately owned and operated roadways should require at least a road association or homeowners association, some kind of entity that's responsible for that.
so we're still calling it a private road, even though, that's where I get mixed up, is there's about 10 different definitions.
Well, a private road, private road would never become a town road. I
No.
shouldn't say never become, but it's gonna be set up as a private road. People that live on it will be responsible for maintaining it, plowing it.
Is that the same thing as an association road, Kurt?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, that's what I'm trying to find out. Okay, so,
We've been requiring that in the, in covenants, and any plan or acceptance require some sort of road maintenance agreement. We've been doing that
right along.
right along, right?
Yeah, well, this more so just codifies that. I mean, it's pretty front and center.
I'm agreeing that it should be codified.
Yeah, right, yep, and really the nice thing about this table and where it is, you know, an applicant can kind of look in here and be like, okay, yep, I am doing X amount of lots, and these are the standards I need to follow, so.
Okay.
That
There's
simplifies it.
also,
Yep.
go ahead.
No, Bill.
It's also incorporated into this the notion, if you get to the situation we had on the Folly Road, that we can waive the requirement to have a paved private road go off a dirt public road. Because that was what we did, and this would basically codify it and allow it.
Right, yeah, number 11 on page 5-22, that would kind of be something that technically it's their right if they, if that's what they wanted to pursue. They could go request a waiver from that, and it would be up to the planning board's discretion.
And that's what was done, but now it's codified, we can do it.
So we can request waivers now, right? That's
Yeah.
Yep, through this, yeah, once it's
The
done.
logic was, why make somebody have a paved road off a dirt one? And now that's codified. But the other one would be, if you want eventually to have your project accepted as a public road, you need to bring it up to all public road standards, including paved, which is what you did on the ones up here, right?
correct.
Okay.
So I suggested earlier, and I think at some of it maybe for your subdivision, that the town come up with a boilerplate private road association document with minimums that we would require as far as legalese goes. He could bring in a document from his attorney, and it could say a lot of stuff, but I may or may not understand it. So I'm wondering if the board would like to have a minimum document for road associations dues and perhaps a way to enforce those dues, I don't know. Through the association.
I'm not sure they can be enforced.
Yeah. Right, it's a civil
We
matter.
like to think, the town's not gonna enforce it.
No, I know that,
People just
but if you
end up
have it
getting
in your deed that says, I sell to
Yeah,
Merle and Brandon and Garrett these lots, each one is required to pay 1/3
yeah.
of the minimum, you know.
They still don't have to pay.
they
Well,
don't
I'm not
get
saying they don't
services.
have to pay, but it's very difficult if one guy, I have a subdivision, small subdivision in Bridgeton, one guy's a complete jerk.
Yeah.
And he has not paid his dues. It's, you know, all done with me. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 people that live in this one guy who flatly refuses, and he's not paying. Now, I don't know how they,
Now they put
Can
a
they
lien
hold
on
town
it.
services from them?
So the idea here is to maintain the road safely, right?
At that point, it's up to the private entity, right? Like in that,
Sue.
that's a civil matter for.
It is a civil matter, but could we put a remedy for that, like a lien on his property or something like
That's the
that?
civil remedy.
I don't think the town wants to be
association would
involved
seek
in
to
that.
have a lien on
There you
the
go.
more
non.
lawsuits.
Not the town, but requiring you have a mechanism as a developer to attach that property, so at least some way the other owners will get a remedy. May take 30 years, but they'll get a remedy when they
Like when he sells, they can,
When they
Right,
sell, they
that's what I'm saying.
can hold on the liens.
I don't know.
it's a sticky thing.
Generally how it's done.
Otherwise, it's only as good as the paper it's written on. So,
Only as good as the people involved.
Yep.
So for, I guess, pages 5-20 and 5-21, anything there? I guess 5-20 only just defines private street, 5-21 gets into the actual definition of private street, and then again, has that backlot driveway provision in there, because we're classifying these different road types.
Can we put in parentheses what the other, the
Well, wait a
private street is? What we just talked over with Kurt? I can't remember what I said.
What do you mean? Like where it's gravel and like that kind of?
An association, what did we say, Kurt? What do you call-
They, I think they have that they're
It's
working
in
on.
there.
If you go to 520,
At the top of page 521, it talks about private streets
We're gonna have to go to lots to be consistent.
to be maintained by owner, common ownership entity, homeowners association.
maybe just.
Is that what you're talking about?
What would be the
Yes.
status of a
To the
road
lots?
that
Yeah, I would
was
go.
servicing more than that? That wouldn't be a street, that would be a road.
That would fall under minor
Yeah,
streets or
everything
major
we see
streets,
here.
yep.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the
So
table.
this street, so you're
It's all
using
set
the
up in
street and
lots.
road interchange.
Yeah, and that's covered later on in our definitions as well, so.
And we just, what it means is we have to go back to the last part we had, and should
I don't-
lots instead of drawings. The back of the road.
So I'm confused.
Okay.
We refer to private streets, we refer to private roads. What's the difference?
There isn't one.
Shouldn't we use the same term consistently in the document?
Yeah, we can. I mean, I would be happy to comb through it and make sure the terminology is all up to snuff. In our definitions, way later on, I think it's for road. The road might also be defined the same as a street, alley, avenue, boulevard, way, other rights of way, or in certain instances, a driveway. So.
Look at you, the stores.
Where do you
I
have?
know. But I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, we could go through that effort and change, every word, every reference throughout the entire ordinance and do that to be consistent. Or, I mean, we could just categorize it under that definition there and save ourselves some time. So.
Mariner Lane. It was a subdivision that was created before my time. And it was written into the deeds that after a certain percentage of the lots had been sold, then there would be created a homeowners association or road association. And the road would no longer be the responsibility of the developer. So that sat there for years, and none of the lots sold on Mariner Lane. And all of a sudden, there was a big run on them. We sold all the lots, and then right out of the blue, they said, all right, now what do we do? How do we turn this over to the landowners and create this association? So you want to look that one up, because that's where you'll find your template. I think I wrote it. So it's in Mariner Lane, and we wrote a homeowners or I guess it was a homeowners association agreement. Everybody signed it willingly, and there hasn't been any problems. So, but is it possible template? Somebody asked for a template, David.
What's that?
You wanted a template for a homeowners or road association template?
Yeah.
Something like. Check that one out.
So are we good on 5-21 before we move on to the table? I know everybody's excited for the table, so.
I got one question.
Oh,
before we
yeah.
Move on. Back to the backlot provision, not to back up too much here, sorry. But I think if we don't call those, I think we should call them house Such an access road shall serve no more than 2 house lots or 2 dwelling unit lots. If we don't call them house lots, are we gonna get in trouble with the new state law? There's gonna be a conflict there if we call them, if we say, shall serve no more than 2 dwelling units. 2 dwelling units lots, that's kind of confusing.
Yep, so we just talked about in the section before, I believe we'd have to change this part from 2 residential lots to 2 dwelling units to align with how we're defining it in section 4 of our ordinance, and then to align with the table as well, if we're gonna change it to dwelling
Okay,
units.
you know what you're doing more than I do. That's fine. I just wanted to.
Yeah,
Should be
so
dwelling.
just to be consistent. we're-
But are we
yeah,
gonna get in trouble? Is there gonna be issues when we start,
Okay, we'll leave it that way.
start?
I don't know that that raises any red flags for me, based on the latest draft that I've seen, but I don't think they've incorporated many substantial changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So I think we're onto the table now, so just,
The only thing about the table is I'd like to see some sort of definition for pavement in the definitions, because you've got minimum width of pavement, you know, for like a private road, then you talk about gravel or paved material composite. So can we have a definition of pavement as being bituminous or gravel? Because it's little.
I mean, I could change the word paved.
Just in the under
bituminous or gravel.
definitions, you know,
Yeah.
just add that to the definitions maybe. So that if somebody wants to know what the heck are they considering pavement, you know?
It says bituminous.
Huh?
It says bituminous.
Yeah, but it's also can be gravel.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Brett?
Yeah, one second. Don't we have, somewhere else in the
Well,
ordinance?
he's sort of right.
Huh?
You're sort of right, because, you know, there's a drawing
We have those in
that
the,
refers to pavement,
Yeah,
but in the definition of privates, minor streets and major, it says it can be gravel,
yeah,
but minor streets and major streets have to be
Bituminous.
right.
paved. So,
It's kind of like road and street,
So-
you know? It's-
right, there should be some way to show that on the drawing,
Right.
on the sketch.
It's just under definitions, there should be some, you know, there should be some definition for explaining.
Yeah, people don't read the definitions, they just look at pictures.
I do. I read them all the
You look at the
time.
pictures.
Where are the definitions?
Okay.
okay, so again, just to cover high-level overview of the changes so far before we make any others. For the backlot driveway column, changing the threshold for residential servicings to dwelling units instead of lots, changing the minimum right-of-way width to 30 feet, and changing the minimum width of pavement to 15 feet. And then the bituminous inclusions as well. Are there any other changes to this table that the board feels would be necessary?
Did you eliminate sidewalks? Is that what you?
What I did is I didn't eliminate them, just the couple rows above them. I made it a little bit clearer. The formatting was a little funky.
Okay,
In terms of how it was kind of laid out, so I just wanted to make that a little bit more clear.
Sorry.
Good question, yeah.
Do we have sidewalks in Sebago today?
So we can waive sidewalks, correct? And we can waive paving on private roads
This one here, 5-25.
Correct.
of any number of,
I got little sticky pads everywhere.
if you have a private road with more than 9, you don't necessarily can waive gravel on it.
We can, yeah, that's,
We can waive paving.
the next page too, 5-24, that's the waiver section
Okay.
that the board could base it off of. Just the types of things that you would consider when you might need to grant a waiver, but to answer your question,
Given
yes.
what Curtis said about expense, it might be better for an association, whatever number of persons, to be able to maintain a gravel road and maybe add an expense of a paved road, if overall it's just as good and less expensive to maintain,
Oh, that's the waiver piece, yeah.
as long as it's allowed. Waiver.
Wrote that down in my notes.
Okay.
Could you give us a-
Anything else on the table?
Why would we grant a waiver that this Board of Appeals, and that should just be Board of Appeals, not Board of Zoning Appeals. Why would we grant a waiver greater than what the Board of Appeals can do? If it's not within our ordinance, then they could do an appeal. The applicant should be the one doing the appeal, shouldn't they? So that's, the waiver would not qualify for relief granted by the Board of Appeals. That gives broad authority to the planning board to do whatever they want.
Good. Could also remove it. Let's do
Does that make sense, what I just said?
No, it does. I think,
Where are you reading this, David?
Page 524.
Thank you.
C,
yep, let's remove that.
Yep.
and also on that same page, could you give us an example of a unique circumstance that could occur in Sebago? That would be A.
And that's exactly what the Board of Appeals is for.
Well, they'd be requesting a variance at that point.
Right.
Yeah, this is just
Right,
kind of
but
weird.
again, that,
Right. I mean, there could be, like
Pond,
you just said, there could be
stream.
ponds, streams, natural resources, rock walls, extreme topography, ledge. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that, you know, maybe it's just not quite feasible or would be incredible expense to the developer. I mean, again, this is where the burden of proof falls to the applicant, right? For whatever waiver they're gonna request. You know, they could request all kinds of waivers, but it's up to the board, you know, to determine based on the information provided by them.
But the
if it's
Board of
appropriate.
Appeals can't give an appeal
This is a
for
waiver,
something
though, not
that's gonna
appeal.
cost more money, you know,
But this
like
is
if
a
there's a
waiver,
big
though.
rock there and it needs to be moved.
This is a waiver, David, not an appeal.
but it's saying, the way I read this is that we can take anything in this land use ordinance and give them a waiver.
If we can make appropriate findings.
Gives you flexibility.
Where the Board of Appeals wouldn't be able to do that.
But the board, that's the job of the Board of Appeals, in my
That's what a
opinion.
variance is. I mean, waiver mechanisms are fairly common in a lot of different towns. I guess I'm not sure I understand
If we denied a permit, right, or an application, their remedy would go to the Board of Appeals, and they would say, these really are unique circumstances. That's not, and that's not what the planning board's job is. The planning board's job is to follow the ordinances. It's the Board of Appeals that has that flexibility with their in my opinion, with their findings to make that decision.
I think providing this waiver mechanism is a little bit more applicant friendly, rather than them going through that process and having to get denied by the planning board and then appeal it and then, or seek a variance and kind of through that thing. This is a pretty common way, I guess, that, again, it's up to the applicant to kind of prove what those unique circumstances are on site, and it's up to the board's discretion if they want to grant it or not, so.
And that's the number D. I'm not sure I quite understand what you're getting at. The granting of a waiver in other situations would not have the effect of amending the ordinance requirements. I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at.
That would be like, kind of like if you're going up over the mountain there and you can't meet the grade requirements there and you get a waiver, right?
Well,
And then the next guy comes in, he goes, well, you gave one to him, so, you know, you gotta give one to me, right?
Sort of.
Rather than build a winding road that can meet the grade going up over the hill. You know, that's the way I look at this. It's like it gives the ability for any given planning board to look at this in any number of different ways. It's not very definitive on on what you could grant a waiver for. It just leaves it right up to the planning board to do that, you know,
On any issue.
on any issue, yeah. It's kind of crazy, really. Because, you know, it's
Well,
like
that's what it's supposed to do,
empathy
show
comes into
judgment.
play, you know, instead of the correct building.
You need to look at the situations and show some judgment about it. But specifically on this question, I'm not exactly sure. Say they want to waive the width of a road. That, on any one particular project, doesn't necessarily amend the ordinance. So I'm not exactly sure what that provision is getting at.
It's more so like if there's a really common instance of a waiver request that keeps coming up and up and up. It's more so the town's responsibility to maybe look at that and say, maybe we should amend our ordinance. You know, maybe, I think last time I gave the example of setbacks for primary structures versus the accessory structures. And that was something that we kept seeing this variance request over and over and over, that as a town, we kind of felt that responsibility that we need to go forth and do what's best to the residents here, in the best interest of the residents to modify the ordinance to help these people out. So I guess that's kind of the intent of that wording, but.
All right.
I think you could compare it to the setback ordinance in the village district, the road setback ordinance, where our ordinance clearly, you know, defines a setback as requirement of being 50 feet, but you can reduce it to 25 feet. And I think over a period of time, that becomes the norm. So in other words, when you're building in the village district, you know, you can come to the planning board and they'll give you a waiver, you know, because that's basically, I guess, what we're doing, even though it says it in the ordinance that you could do it. You're reducing the setback to 25 feet. It's kind of an automatic thing. It's like amending, it's sort of like amending the ordinance without amending the ordinance, you know?
So years ago, we set up this type of government with the planning board and the Board of Appeals with specific responsibilities for each board. I feel that these take that and really turn that upside down. I don't believe that the planning board needs that authority. There's a process in place for an applicant to deal with these things, all these issues. And right now, you're just circumventing that process.
So they'd go directly to the Board of Appeals if they wanted,
Well,
like in the village district?
if she denied an application, they could do an administrative appeal. She says, no, you're too close to the water, all right?
Yeah.
So they would go do an administrative appeal with their reasons why they should be allowed to do this, all right? Given that power to the planning board, or if we deny it for specific reasons, then they can go to the Board of Appeals. I don't think it's a planning board's job to use all that greater judgment. I think our job is to follow the ordinances, and if we make a mistake following the ordinances, then they go to the Board of Appeals. I mean, what's your expertise on, I don't know, whatever, or my expertise on anything? All I have to go by is what the ordinance says. So,
Board of Appeals, they're most likely laymen too. And, you know, make some decisions and move some projects along. It's like the house down there on, the two houses down there on Long Beach there. And they're turning into nice houses, nice settings. You know, we were able to do that for them without sending it to the Board of Appeal, making it more applicant-friendly while still respecting the law. So forcing them to go through more and more hoops just doesn't seem to be that.
we're not going through more hoops, Paul, we're just going through
Going
the
to the Board
same.
of Appeals is going through another hoop. I don't know how you call it, you know.
So
Again,
where does it say that, never mind.
So your example of a waterfront thing and setback or something is just not valid because there are no variances, there's no waivers.
I get that.
No, okay.
You're right, that was a bad example.
All right, but there are some things that would warrant a waiver. You know, and one of the things that comes to mind is, you know, and it says unique circumstances, out of the ordinary, something that's unique to just that piece of property that you wouldn't probably find anywhere else. And we've had roads, proposed roads that exceeded the grade limit. We have roads, 107 exceeds the grade limit. You know, you get down there at Course Hill, I mean, it exceeds the maximum grade limit. So if you have a proposed subdivision and there's just no way to climb this hilltop or hillside to get from point A to point B without exceeding that grade, you know, the planning board has in the past, you know, considered situations like that where we're talking a very short distance, a very short grade, 100 feet. The only place, you know, in town where you might exceed that 10% grade just for 100 feet or 50 feet. So they ask for a waiver for that one little spot right there where you can't possibly get to point A, point B without exceeding that grade. And that's an example of something that's unique, and it is likely to happen. And I think it has happened.
But that ability already exists in our ordinance, to grant a waiver.
Yeah, we have it. We have waivers.
Right.
It's already in the
Don't need
ordinance.
to put in more information, I don't think.
I mean, it just makes it more clear.
Until this right here, no one knew, a month ago, you guys couldn't grant waivers a month ago, according to the town law.
Couldn't what?
Couldn't grant waivers. We went through this for 2 months. The
Couldn't
town
grant
lawyer.
waivers?
For roadway specifically, right?
I'm not positive. Is that
I thought it was in relation to roadway design standards specifically, and so that's, again, what on page 5-24, again, that's what this is meant to do, is help clarify
So he's
that.
got this someplace that it can be seen now.
Right, it's out there, it's with our other roadway design standards, and if the board would like to issue or grant a waiver for roads, whether it's right-of-way, steep slopes, you know,
So is this for new roads, or is this for existing roads too?
any new proposed road moving forward.
Okay.
So, an example I just thought of, what if I have I want to do the backlot provision, and I have 29.5 feet. That's all I have. I'd like to have the ability to come to you guys and say, I'd like to ask for a waiver for half a foot, and you make a decision. And I say this is why, blah, blah, you make that decision. If I guess if you said no, then I could take it to the appeals board.
Right, I mean,
But
that's,
these are
But
just,
he should be the one that says no. The code enforcement office should be the one that says no. It shouldn't even get to us. You gotta,
that could be correct, David.
Well,
because
again,
there's
that's
a lot, she should have more power than she does. She should be able to make those decisions and
Well, she
issue
can.
permits.
she should be able to approve it or deny it, or, I mean, in that instance though too, I mean, where it's something that it's your right to request a waiver, you know, nudge them in the right direction and say, you know, hey, planning board, here's the applicant requesting the waiver for the right plus or right of it. Again, I think the waivers are a pretty common mechanism. The way this is laid out now spells it out pretty clearly for the waivers specific to the roadway design standards. Yeah, I guess, I think it's a lot more applicant friendly. I think this is the way to do it, really.
So what you meant by this is the waiver could not qualify for relief granted by the Board of,
We're removing that.
Board of Appeals. That's only, this only pertains to those cases that it wouldn't qualify for relief granted by the Board of Appeals, is that what you're saying?
We're removing that provision, that sentence there.
see you, Brandon. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So is there any other comments on the table?
Question.
Oh.
So on 524 waivers, it makes reference at the top. may grant waivers from the performance standards of this ordinance. So this section on waivers apply just to the streets, or does it apply to the whole ordinance?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could clarify that there to maybe the roadway design standards of this section, to be a little bit more clear.
I think that would be helpful, because I'm not sure that there was ever consideration given to doing waivers on other portions of the roads. If that's what the board wants to do, that's fine. It's just, I don't think that's the way it's been discussed.
Had this been written in there, I wouldn't have probably argued. No, I'm serious.
Very good point.
I'm like, holy crap, it's just roads.
Simple.
Well,
So,
So,
it says it there too, right? If you read it.
So it'd be under what, section 5 street standards or something? Is that what that would say?
It could be waivers of street standards.
Yeah,
Correct.
right.
Say it
Waivers
again.
of,
Which page?
Page 5-24, number 1.
So what I'm gonna do on page 5-24 is at the top, D, I'm
Yeah.
gonna rename that to waivers for roadway design standards up front.
Yeah.
And then D1, I'm gonna take out from the performance standards of this ordinance and replace it with from the performance standards of this section. And then remove letter C below there about the relief from the Board of Zoning Appeals. So that'll clean up our waiver section there, I think, to be in a pretty good spot.
I apologize, I thought this was in reference to the ordinance.
Oh,
The
yeah,
entire
sure.
ordinance.
I get that, so-
I'm very sorry.
Okay.
Oh, it's easy to see that.
Any last comments about the table before we move on?
How much further do you guys want to go tonight?
I'd call 8 o'clock, good, that's 3 hours.
3 hours, that's a good chunk.
Okay,
I mean, the rest is pretty quick, but.
okay, keep going.
In Exhibit 3, then, moving forward, we're talking about administration and enforcement. So we reference a few other places about staff level review. So what this is aiming to do on page 6-3 is defining what staff level review is. We had talked a little bit about last time in terms of what those thresholds are. And really, we're looking at the 2,500 square foot mark and anything below that. And then, again, we already kind of have the minor later on, and I think it's Exhibit 4, when we're talking about site plan, we have minor and major. So again, this is meant for those minor projects that really should just be expedited through staff if they meet this criteria.
Does that take the purview away from the planning board for pretty much all non-conforming lots?
I would defer to Christina, I guess. I think it depends on what's being proposed, probably.
Shoreline zoning?
But
I think shoreline zoning still requires your approval.
Anything a shoreline does, right?
Well, I'm just
Right,
thinking,
but-
I'm thinking those ones that came before the board on, 5,000 square foot lots. I mean, gee, you're talking about 5,000 square feet here anyway, pretty much, 2,500 of residential floor area and then 2,500 of impervious surface area. I mean, you're pretty much talking about a 5,000 square foot lot, right?
potentially.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, this is meant for like those small, really projects that, where it takes currently 3 or 4 months for an applicant to get a review by the planning board, it could take 3 weeks
I'm
to
just
do it
thinking some
administratively,
of those-
really help these people
The
out.
non-conforming lots are the ones that seem to need more scrutiny than some of these
She knows what she's doing.
I don't think any of the other, any other local towns require planning board approval for shoreline zoning. I can go to Wyndham and get a building permit for shoreline zoning, lake tear down, rebuild in probably 5 days.
I'm talking outside of shoreline zoning, across the street on 114.
So that should be less concerning to you.
Not less concerning, because you're removing little small camps and putting in, 2,500 square foot houses, or 3,000
Well,
square foot houses.
if they're not taking up more than 20% of the property, then,
It's fine.
I mean, it's pretty, all these standards, everything's black and white.
Yeah, again, I mean, this is meant to for those really
Most code
small
enforcement
projects.
officers can handle.
we have no way of testing the groundwater in our ordinance. There's no nitrate loading levels, you know, we don't have any of that. I mean, and here we are, we're packing these houses in like sardines down there and expanding them. It just seems
If
like
it's
the
allowable
planning
though,
board
then
ought to
we
have
have to
purview over
let them do
that.
it.
Yeah, if they can put a septic system on it and they meet the 20% lot coverage, then what good is your review?
Right.
You're wasting a lot of time and money.
Well, we can require or request some water studies, you know.
But David, that doesn't have anything to do with what we're
I
doing
know,
right now.
I know.
But let's expedite the job.
You know, I'm trying to get us to a point where we recognize some of this stuff that's gonna have to be done in the future. We just keep dragging our feet, kicking the can down the road. You know?
But right now, this is the
Yeah.
document that
Well,
we're
that's why I'm
having.
bringing it up. It's just, you know, it's a good opportunity to bring that up, that's all.
What's 2,500 feet of impervious surface? Is this a parking lot?
Anything.
Yeah.
Driveway.
Yeah, it could be
Patio.
driveway or gravel or patio.
Tool shed.
Pad, shed.
Yeah, all right.
That's a good sized area, 25
It
by
is,
100 feet.
25,
That's not
yeah.
a small area.
Yeah. See what average size of a home nowadays is,
Yeah.
gosh,
2,000.
2,000 houses,
Yeah.
so,
Shoreline zoning, it's 15, 1800.
right, so. Okay, any other, like, word changes within this staff level review section on page 6-3?
I need some help understanding this. So at the very top, it says, so long as in any 2-year period, 1, 2, 3, and 4. What does that mean? What happens in a 2-year period?
So if someone, for example, constructed a home or did a project that was 2,400 square feet, 2 years from that period, then if they did something else in the property that raised it above that 2,500 square foot threshold, then that would be elevated to that higher tier review.
It would then go to you guys.
It would go to the
No.
planning board essentially.
Well, that's as clear as mud.
Within 2 years of...
Within 2 years, yeah.
So if you wait 3 years, it doesn't.
Well, they're not gonna be able, how they're gonna be able to expand
You can't do it.
50%? You
that's
can't
not
do that in shoreline zoning.
Or add an accessory dwelling.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do ADUs in shoreline
For
anyway.
5,000 square foot
You
building
can't
over
go
those
from
lots.
2,500 to 5,000, I don't believe, in
With,
shoreline zoning,
5,000 square foot building over
Right,
5,000.
right.
well, yeah.
beyond 100 foot, maybe.
Yeah. You know,
So again, yeah, I mean, it's just meant to disincentivize from making continuous improvements and sectioning off.
But they
Well,
don't need to be involved unless it's
Right,
a big
if I do-
project, is that what you're trying to say?
if I do a project that's 2,400 square feet every year and kind of phase it out, you know, then I can bypass the planning board. Whereas this, you know, over a course of 2 years, you know,
Yeah,
that's a pretty
that's a good
substantial
idea.
amount of time
It's a good idea.
to force people to do that, so.
But what if they did it on a separate lot?
I
Then they
mean, it's a
can,
separate lot.
Right.
It's a separate property, yeah, and
then they can,
Yeah,
if they meet all the requirements.
yeah, okay.
so.
I guess I'm not.
Okay, next would be page 7-2, moving on to exhibit 4. So again, this is our site plan review section of our ordinance. Changes here on page 7-2, again, help codify staff level reviews. We talked about it, define it previously, but again, it's meant, this is the most appropriate place for it, where we're already classifying the different types, where we already have minor developments and major developments. So now we're adding that lesser, I call them minor projects really, where staff level reviews are meant for the smaller scale projects involving less than, again, what we defined earlier with the 2,500 square feet, so.
So this is basically cross-referencing the section we just looked at.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep, so earlier we were defining it within administration, and here we're defining it where it's appropriate for site plan reviews.
But here you don't talk about a 2-year period.
We don't. I don't know that it's necessary here where we're defining it previously. added in there, I suppose.
It's just an inconsistency, and inconsistencies have proven to be problematic at times.
Okay.
Well, a lot of the reasons that things have come before the board in the last couple of years are because they're non-conforming lots. I think this is making reference to conforming lots, and there being no real need for us to review these projects on conforming lots, right?
I agree with that,
We're
yeah.
thinking about it.
So why don't we put in there with the exception of non-conforming lots?
Well, the non-conforming lots will be coming in front of us anyway.
They have to.
Right, but our point earlier, I mean, excluding the ones from shoreland zone, I mean, if the board already has this set criteria
Yeah.
to work off of, and it's pretty limited, and we can't really work outside of that purview, I mean, that's something that, instead of it being a 3-month-long process to reach that same conclusion, Christina and staff could, you know, do that within 3 weeks and help these people out for these smaller projects.
But even if this project came up on a non-conforming lot, it would still have to come in front of us. But say you have a person out in the rural part of town with 3 acres or more, and there's no really reason for anyone to pass judgments on non-conformity, that, you know, allow the staff to just review it and if appropriate, go ahead.
Aren't you guys talking about non-conforming lots, shoreline zoning, and
This would include both conforming and non-conforming lots, with exception to what the planning board already has to review through shoreline zoning.
So what happens in